Chapter 1469. Qinglian and Fangchong left. Although they admired Ling Xiao's confidence and courage, they were still very worried about whether Ling Xiao would be able to obtain the position of champion. However, when they saw Ling Xiao's mental state, they finally relaxed. They knew that Ling Xiao's will was firm, and he would definitely not collapse because of the bet with the Heavenly Curse Academy. At the same time, they went back to rest and cultivate. Qinglian was naturally going to fight for the 10 spots to enter the Void Saint world. Fangchong would probably not be able to enter the top 10. However, the top 100 would have extremely generous rewards, so it was worth looking forward to. Ling Xiao remained in seclusion and continued to comprehend the Great Wilderness Sword Principle and the 5 Thunder Heavenly Spirit Technique. Ling Xiao had already cultivated these 2 ultimate techniques to the greater realm, and was not far from the perfect realm. Other than Ling Xiao's shocking comprehension, it was also because he had the inheritance of the Age of Time, the Thunder Emperor Technique, and the Thunder Origin Pearl. With such unique conditions, his cultivation naturally improved by leaps and bounds. Junior brother Long, bad news. Junior sister Xian Wang has been surrounded by people from the 5 Elements Academy. A hurried voice jolted Ling Xiao out of his cultivation state. Wang Lin stood at the door of Ling Xiao's room and said anxiously. Ling Xiao ended his cultivation and walked out of his room. He said indifferently, "What happened?" His expression was very calm, but his voice contained a cold aura. Junior sister Xian Wang and junior brother Yi met disciples from the 5 Elements Academy in the Space-Time Academy. They spoke rudely to you and spoke very harshly. Moreover, a disciple from the 5 Elements Academy even wanted to take liberties with junior sister Xian Wang. In the end, he was taught a lesson by junior sister Xian Wang. Therefore, the people from the 5 Elements Academy surrounded junior sister Xian Wang and junior brother Yi. However, the dean and eldest senior brother were out today, so I came back to look for you. Wang Lin quickly explained to Ling Xiao. Originally, Wang Lin was not convinced of Ling Xiao's strength. However, after the battle with Demon Saint Boyu, she respected Ling Xiao in her heart. Therefore, when something happened to Xian Wang, she immediately thought of Ling Xiao. Let's go. Ling Xiao's gaze turned cold as he quickly headed outside. Previously, he had heard from Qinglian and Fangchong that many people were ridiculing Ling Xiao, thinking that he was overestimating himself. They were all waiting to see him make a fool of himself. Ling Xiao didn't think much of it, but he didn't think that some people would really seek death and bully him. Fine, since you dared to stand out, I'll use you to establish my might. Ling Xiao coldly thought in his heart. He had already treated the disciples of the 5 Elements Academy as targets to establish his might. Some people were just like that. The more you gave in, the more they would think that you were easy to bully, and the more they would want a yard after taking an inch. Therefore, the only way was to ruthlessly beat back those who dared to show their face. Space-Time Academy, Full Moon Peak. The scenery here was very beautiful, surrounded by a sea of clouds. Standing at the top of the mountain, one could see the strange scene of the sun and moon shining together. It was very mysterious. Furthermore, he could absorb the essence of the sun and moon here, which was very beneficial to his cultivation. For the sake of this year's Academy of the 100 Academies tournament, the Space-Time Academy had generously opened Full Moon Peak to the public, and many people had come to take a look. On a square at the top of the mountain, Xian Wang and Yi Liangchen were surrounded by 5 youths wearing 5 Elements Taoist robes. The 5 youths had extremely powerful auras, and their faces were incomparably cold. They looked at Xian Wang and Yi Liangchen arrogantly. The 2 youths in the lead were early divine kings, and the other 3 were great heavenly gods. Such a lineup could be considered extremely powerful. After all, the strongest cultivators in many ordinary academies were only great heavenly gods. Junior sister Xian Wang, you want to leave after injuring my junior brother? Aren't you looking down on the 5 Elements Academy? One of the early divine kings was tall and handsome. He had a head of fiery red hair, and his body was emitting a blazing aura. His eyes were incomparably cold, and he looked at Xian Wang and Yi Liangchen arrogantly. What do you want? Xian Wang asked indifferently. Yi Liangchen sneered and said, this brat spoke vulgarities and insulted senior brother Long. He even dared to flirt with senior sister Xian Wang. If your 5 Elements Academy doesn't know how to discipline him, then we will. Giving him 2 slaps is already a light punishment. Do you still dare to stand up for him? Many people had gathered around to watch the show. Most of them were disciples from ordinary academies. Even Ji Yuanlong from the Great Zhou Academy had brought a few disciples to watch from the side. His eyes were filled with sneers. What a joke! Since when did you have the right to discipline the disciples of my 5 Elements Academy? You've injured junior brother Wang, so kneel down and apologize. Otherwise, don't blame me for bullying you. The youth with fiery red hair sneered. The aura around him became even hotter, as if it was a flame that was about to burn. The other disciples of the 5 Elements Academy also revealed unkind expressions, especially the disciple whose face was swollen by the Xian King. His name was Wang Qi, and his eyes were filled with resentment. Kowtow and apologize? Do you think you're qualified to do that? Let me tell you, don't provoke me. Otherwise, when I, Yi Liangchen, get angry, even I am afraid of myself. Yi Liangchen sneered with an arrogant look on his face. Isn't this ugly bastard called Yi Liangchen too arrogant? He's only a late heavenly god, yet he dares to talk to a divine king like that. I think he's tired of living. That's right. This brat is definitely going to suffer. But that Xian Wang is too beautiful. Her aura is simply peerless. In this year's Academy tournament, there's no one who can compare to her. The spectators discussed animatedly. They were all waiting to see Yi Liangchen make a fool of himself. Some people's attention was on Xian Wang, and their eyes were filled with passion. Brat, you're courting death. The youth with fiery red hair had a cold look in his eyes. The aura around him was like an erupting volcano. He slammed his palm towards Yi Liangchen. Rumble. A resplendent sun seemed to have appeared in the center of his palm. This palm print was incomparably terrifying. It turned into a monstrous flame, as if it was going to burn Yi Liangchen into ashes. Some people even began to show signs of reluctance. They were afraid that Yi Liangchen would be turned into ashes by this palm print in the next moment. After all, the gap between a late heavenly god and a divine king was too big. Trash! You're forcing your grandpa Yi Liangchen to get angry. Yi Liangchen sneered. There was no fear in his eyes as well. He threw a punch towards the red-haired youth. Boom! Yi Liangchen's punch didn't seem to have any energy fluctuations. However, a thunderous explosion sounded in the void. Then the sky changed color. A resplendent sunlight and a gorgeous moonlight fell at the same time, turning into an incomparably mysterious light. Crack! The flames that filled the sky exploded in an instant, turning into a resplendent rain of light. Yi Liangchen's punch had actually landed on the red-haired youth's face. Bang! He spat out a mouthful of blood and was sent flying. Chapter 1470. What? Everyone was dumbfounded when they saw the scene before them. Yi Liangchen was only a late heavenly god. However, he managed to injure the red-haired young man with just one punch. This was beyond their knowledge. Is that the sun divine power and the moon divine power? This guy can actually summon the sun divine power and the moon divine power. How is that possible? Someone was shocked and a serious expression appeared on his face. Full Moon Peak was very strange. Legend had it that it contained a holy array that could gather the sun divine power and the moon divine power. The yin-yang divine power and the moon divine power formed by the sun divine power, and the moon divine power was extremely powerful. Almost no one below the Saint Realm could withstand it. When Yi Liangchen punched out just now, it actually caused the mysterious sunlight and moonlight in the void. That was obviously the sun divine power and the moon divine power. Impossible. The sun divine power and the moon divine power are the power of the Spacetime College's protective mountain array. Only the president can activate it. Ordinary people can't control these two types of divine power. It must be a coincidence. A disciple from the Spacetime College retorted. It must be a coincidence. I heard that the full moon peak is very strange. Sometimes, the sun and the moon will appear in the sky. Maybe the sun divine power and the moon divine power just happen to appear. Someone explained. Only then did they feel slightly relieved. After all, if Yi Liangchen could really activate the sun divine power and the moon divine power, the entire Spacetime College would be shocked. They would go and check if there was something wrong with the protective mountain array. Bastard, you deserve to die. The red-haired young man was embarrassed and angry. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Yi Liangchen's punch didn't injure him too badly. However, his handsome face was swollen. This made him hate Yi Liangchen to the extreme. Boom. A blazing aura rose up. The red-haired young man was surrounded by flames. A mysterious flame rune flew out from his palm, and instantly turned into a fire kirin. It was emitting a murderous aura as it charged towards Yi Liangchen. Is this the 5 elements creation skill? Legend has it that it can create 12 types of ancient divine beasts. It seems like Yi Liangchen is in trouble. Someone exclaimed in surprise. The 5 elements creation technique was one of the fundamental techniques of the 5 Elements Academy. When the red-haired young man used the 5 elements creation technique, it was obvious that he was enraged and wanted to kill Yi Liangchen. Roar! That fire qilin roared into the heavens, emitting monstrous flames. Its ferocious might was matchless, ancient and mysterious as it pounced towards Yi Liangchen. It's just a simulation of the fire qilin's true intent. It's not the real fire qilin. How dare you act so arrogantly in front of me? You're courting death. Yi Liangchen said proudly. Then his eyes lit up and he threw another punch at the fire qilin. Crack! It seemed as if there was a bright lightning exploding in the void. The terrifying lightning suddenly enveloped the fire qilin. Moreover, there was a mysterious sunlight and moonlight pervading in the void. It was exuding an incomparably terrifying power fluctuation. What? The red-haired young man was about to go crazy with anger. His eyes were filled with incomparable depression. The fire qilin exploded in an instant. Moreover, the sunlight and moonlight intertwined and turned into a yin and yang murderous aura. With a loud bang, everything was destroyed. The red-haired young man had no way to dodge. He directly crashed into his chest. Boom! The red-haired young man's chest caved in. This time his injuries were even more serious. Dozens of his ribs were broken, and he spat out blood. Is this a coincidence? Why did the sun god power and the moon god power appear again? Isn't Yi Liangchen from the Ares Academy? Could it be that he's a spy from the Space-Time Academy? Everyone was dumbfounded. They couldn't even speak clearly. If the appearance of the sun god power and the moon god power was a coincidence, what was happening now? The full moon peak seems to prohibit private fights. It must be their fight that triggered the protective array, which triggered the sun god power and the moon god power. That must be it. The disciples of the Space-Time Academy muttered to themselves, as if they were convincing themselves. However, their expressions became more and more unpleasant. But at this moment, how could anyone believe it? This was too strange. A disciple of the Ares Academy, who was merely a late-stage heavenly god, was actually able to trigger the sun god power and the moon god power. This caused everyone to look at Yi Liangchen in a different light. At this moment, they finally came to their senses. Perhaps the Ares Academy had their own reasons for allowing Yi Liangchen, who was only a late-stage heavenly god, to participate in the tournament of the 100 academies. Yi Liangchen was really extraordinary. Seniors, these two dared to bully senior brother Chen. They're simply looking down on our 5 Elements Academy. Everyone, let's attack them together and punish them. In the 5 Elements Academy, the disciple who was being taught a lesson by Xianwang shouted. His eyes were filled with coldness. Boom. The 5 disciples of the 5 Elements Academy had unfriendly expressions. Their gazes were incomparably cold. Killing intent rose from their bodies. Powerful auras intertwined and locked onto Xianwang and Yi Liangchen. The red-haired young man was injured by Yi Liangchen's 2 punches, which made them lose face. However, they were incomparably fearful of Yi Liangchen. Therefore, they were prepared to attack regardless of the consequences. You pieces of trash. You can't beat me one-on-one, so you want to bully me with numbers? Come. If I, Yi Liangchen, don't beat you into a pulp, I'll change my surname to yours. Yi Liangchen sneered. He was incomparably arrogant and domineering. However, no one dared to mock or look down on him now. He had used his strength to prove himself. Even a Divine King expert had been defeated by him. Everyone's expression became incomparably solemn. I'm going to kill you. The red-haired young man spat out a mouthful of blood. His face was distorted. His red hair danced wildly in the wind. His eyes were filled with crazy killing intent. He recklessly pounced towards Yi Liangchen. Boom. However, suddenly, a resplendent divine light exploded in the void. Moreover, it was accompanied by a crisp dragon roar. It was ancient and majestic. It enveloped the red-haired young man. It was a dragon-shaped fist. Blood chi filled the sky. It was incomparably ferocious. Its speed was extremely fast. It directly collided with the red-haired young man. Gotcha! The red-haired young man's arm directly exploded into a bloody mist. His entire body was instantly sent flying. He let out an incomparably miserable cry. Amidst the divine light that filled the sky, Ling Xiao stepped on the sky. His white robes were whiter than snow. His black hair fluttered in the wind. His indifferent and resplendent eyes swept across the crowd. Finally, his gaze landed on the people of the Five Elements Saint sect. The people of my Ares Academy are not people that can be dealt with by any random person. If you don't want to die, scram. Chapter 1471. Above the full moon peak, Ling Xiao stood in the air, as if he had become the center of the entire world. Everyone's gaze landed on him. Who is he? He's only at the great circle of the heavenly god realm. Yet he possesses such terrifying physical strength. Even Chun Kai was no match for him. Could he be Ares College's Big Dipper? Someone exclaimed, his eyes filled with incomparable shock. Ling Xiao's ferocious punch was purely based on the strength of his physical body. A vast amount of blood and chi surged, as if a real divine dragon had exploded in front of everyone. That kind of invincible charm was deeply imprinted in everyone's hearts. He's not Big Dipper. He's Long Outyin, the one who claimed to be the champion and sweep through the academy tournament. A Heavenly Curse Academy's disciple said coldly. What? He's Long Outyin? No wonder he said that he would be the champion. His combat strength is indeed extremely strong. It seems like the four great prodigies have found their match. Although Long Outyin has some strength, how can he be compared to the four great prodigies? Just his great circle of the heavenly god realm cultivation alone is his greatest weakness. I think he has a chance of entering the top 10, but he can forget about being the champion. Hee, Ares College has been quiet for so many years. Could it be that they want to shock everyone this time? Everyone looked at Ling Xiao in the air and discussed with different expressions. Some were curious, some were gloating, and some were disdainful and mocking. Big brother, can't you come a little later? I haven't had my fun yet, and you've stolen the limelight. Yap Liangchen said with a sullen face. The feeling of showing off just now was really satisfying. Yap Liangchen was still planning to sweep through the Five Elements College and teach those guys a lesson. In the end, Ling Xiao came. You'll have your chance to show off in the future. I'm not trying to steal your limelight. If I didn't come, you would have been beaten to the ground. Ling Xiao glared at him in exasperation. The person who can beat me to the ground hasn't been born yet. These five guys are all trash. They won't be able to withstand a single blow. Yap Liangchen said proudly. That's not necessarily true, Ling Xiao said slowly. His eyes shone with a divine light as he looked at the vast sea of clouds in the distance. Boom! A resplendent golden light exploded there, and a resplendent golden figure soared through the sky with extreme speed. It was like a newly born sun, leaping out of the sea of clouds and rushing into the heavens with unstoppable momentum. Boundless saber wool bloomed in the void. It was like a Milky Way, shrouding the entire world. Under the heavenly river stood a handsome young man, wearing a golden dragon armor. He had sword-like eyebrows, starry eyes, and a handsome face. His body exuded a mysterious golden light, and his eyes were extremely bright. It was as if there was a mysterious blade light emanating from them. He stepped on the celestial river, and instantly appeared in the sky above the full moon peak. It's eldest senior brother. Big senior brother, you have to uphold justice for us. The people from Ares College are too much. Eldest senior brother, you must teach them a good lesson. The Five Elements Academy's disciples revealed an incomparably pleasantly surprised expression as they bowed towards the young man. He was the Five Elements Academy's eldest senior brother, Jin Xianzong. He was also one of the 4 geniuses who had the highest chance of becoming the champion. It's Jin Xianzong. This one has the golden virtue sage body, and his strength is unparalleled. This is going to be interesting. I wonder who is stronger between Long Outyin and Jin Xianzong? Everyone's body trembled, and their eyes were filled with anticipation. The academy tournament had yet to begin, but everyone already knew about the most outstanding geniuses of this generation. Among them were Heavenly Curse Academy's Yuan Fei, 5 Elements Academy's Jin Xianzong, Spacetime Academy's Shibufan, and Qingshan Academy's Duan Xuelu. They were the 4 geniuses who had the highest chance of becoming the champion. Due to the Heavenly Curse Academy's unbridled publicity, the bet between Ares College and Heavenly Curse Academy had spread far and wide. Long Outyin, who was only at the great circle of the Sky God realm, had actually shamelessly boasted that he would become the champion. Naturally, he had become the target of ridicule. With the Heavenly Curse Academy's publicity, Long Outyin had even become the butt of everyone's jokes. Today's conflict between Xian Wang and the 5 Elements Academy was mainly caused by the 5 Elements' disrespectful words to Long Outyin. "You're Long Outyin?" Jin Xianzong looked down at Ling Xiao with an indifferent expression. "You're Jin Xianzong?" Ling Xiao smiled faintly and didn't directly answer. Instead, he asked a question of his own. "You're indeed very strong, but you're only at the great circle of the Sky God realm. If you want to become the champion of the Academy tournament, aren't you overestimating yourself?" Jin Xianzong said indifferently. Ling Xiao calmly replied, "You can try whether or not I'm overestimating myself." "Are you challenging me?" Jin Xianzong's eyes flashed. "Challenging you? You can interpret it that way. Actually, what I'm saying is that if anyone isn't convinced, they can come and try. Let's see whether or not I can become the champion," Ling Xiao said calmly. Everyone was stunned. Did Ling Xiao mean to issue a challenge to everyone? Where did his confidence come from? "You don't know the meaning of death. Eldest senior brother, this brat is definitely not your match." Chun Kai looked at Ling Xiao with a venomous gaze. Jin Xianzong looked at Ling Xiao indifferently and said, "Whether or not you can become the champion is not up to you. Nor is it up to me. Everything will only be decided in the Academy tournament. However, you've injured my 5 Elements Academy's disciples today. You should at least give us an explanation, right?" "What explanation do you want?" Ling Xiao said indifferently. "Very simple. Apologize to my junior brothers, and I won't pursue the matter on account of Dean Tong," Jin Xianzong said. "Apologize? Impossible," Xian Wang said coldly. "That's right. Why should we apologize? It's obviously your 5 Elements Academy's disciples who are shameless. How dare they have designs on senior sister Xian Wang? Beating them up is already a light punishment. You should make them apologize to us," Yi Liangchen said with a cold smile. "Jin Xianzong, I'm sure you know what happened today. It's impossible for us to apologize. If you want to draw a line, I'll let you do it," Ling Xiao said indifferently. There was a trace of sharpness in his eyes. "Long Outyin, don't think that you can be so arrogant just because you have some strength. I don't want to fight today, but it doesn't mean that I'm afraid of you." Jin Xianzong's eyes turned cold as he stared at Ling Xiao. Golden divine light lingered around his body. Streaks of divine light were incomparably sharp. They were like resplendent blades, causing his aura to become incomparably sharp. "Do you want to fight? Very well. You can try." Chapter 1472. Rumble. Above the full moon peak, Ling Xiao and Jin Xianzong faced each other in the air. Their auras intertwined, vast and majestic, rumbling like thunder in the void. Everyone was somewhat nervous and excited. Could it be that the Academy tournament hadn't even begun, but they were already witnessing a battle between 2 peerless geniuses? Of course, everyone naturally believed that Ling Xiao was no match for Jin Xianzong, but that didn't stop them from looking forward to this battle. The disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy were also watching coldly from the sidelines. Speaking of which, they hoped that Ling Xiao would suffer a crushing defeat at the hands of Jin Xianzong. That would mean that they had won the bet. The two's auras clashed, causing the void to tremble slightly. Golden divine light illuminated the surroundings, making for an incomparably gorgeous sight. The auras of the two grew stronger and stronger, and just as the inevitable battle was about to erupt, rumble, an incomparably mysterious and ancient aura appeared in the void. It was like a transparent wall, separating Ling Xiao and Jin Xianzong. Wang. A light flashed in the void, and a young man in white robes appeared. He looked very delicate and refined, and his entire body was spotless. His gaze was calm, and his face was handsome. However, he had a head of white hair. Although he didn't look very old, he had an ancient and weathered temperament. "Its eldest senior brother?" A disciple from the Spacetime Academy exclaimed. His eyes suddenly filled with excitement and reverence. It was the eldest senior brother of the Spacetime Academy, Shirbufan. Shirbufan is also here. Is he going to stop the battle between Long Outyin and Jin Xianzong? Someone's eyes flashed as he secretly guessed. Fellow Taoists, can you give me some face and stop here? After all, this is the sacred land of my Spacetime Academy. Fighting here is too much of a killjoy. In any case, the Academy tournament is tomorrow, and you two will naturally have a chance to spar then. Shirbufan cupped his hands toward Ling Xiao and Jin Xianzong and smiled faintly. His smile looked very amiable, and his entire person gave off a feeling of a spring breeze. However, there was also a faint sense of alienation, which made it difficult for others to grasp. Shirbufan's appearance immediately dissolved the battle between Ling Xiao and Jin Xianzong's auras. It was like a silent lubricant, very mysterious. Jin Xianzong was a little hesitant, but he still nodded and said, "Since senior brother sure has spoken, I will naturally give you face. Today's matter will end here. However, Long Outyin, I will settle the matter of you injuring a few of my 5 Elements Academy's junior brothers in tomorrow's Academy tournament." Ling Xiao said very calmly, "Very good, I'll wait. Let's go." Jin Xianzong took a deep look at Ling Xiao before he cupped his fists towards Shirbufan, and left with the disciples of the 5 Elements Academy. Speaking of which, the 5 Elements College had suffered a huge loss at the hands of Ares College. If they continued to stay, Jin Xianzong would feel ashamed, so he did not stay for long. Everyone felt a little regretful. The great battle that they were looking forward to had actually been resolved because of Shirbufan's appearance. However, when they thought about the enmity between Long Outyin and Jin Xianzong, they felt even more anticipation for the next day's Academy tournament. Everyone left the Full Moon Peak. Just as Ling Xiao was about to leave with King Xian and Yi Liangchen, he was stopped by Shirbufan. "Brother Long, please stop for a moment." Shirbufan smiled faintly at Ling Xiao. "Brother Shir, what's the matter?" Ling Xiao asked doubtfully. "Brother Long, let's talk in private." Shirbufan looked at King Xian and Yi Liangchen and smiled. King Xian knew that Shirbufan probably had something to discuss with Ling Xiao, so he immediately said to Ling Xiao, "Brother Long, we'll head back first." After saying that, King Xian and Yi Liangchen left the Full Moon Peak. "Brother Shi, please speak your mind," Ling Xiao said faintly. The relationship between Ares College and the Spacetime Academy wasn't good, but it wasn't bad either. Although the Spacetime Academy was in an alliance with the Heavenly Curse Academy and the 5 Elements Academy, the Spacetime Academy was more aloof and rarely interfered with these grudges. Ling Xiao was also a little confused as to why Shirbufan was looking for him. Shirbufan looked at Ling Xiao and smiled faintly. "Brother Long, I've heard of your glorious battle achievements. You're indeed a heaven-sent genius. It's amazing. Even fellow Taoist Lu Wu of your esteemed courtyard was said to have lost to you." Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he said indifferently, "Brother Shi, you flatter me. Do you know Lu Wu?" Shirbufan nodded and said with a meaningful look in his eyes, 10 years ago, Brother Lu Wu and I explored a secret realm together, so we met there. Junior Marshal Brother Long, do you know what we obtained from that secret realm?" Ling Xiao's heart skipped a beat. He had already vaguely guessed Shirbufan's purpose for coming, but he still shook his head and said, "I'm not sure." Shirbufan didn't seem to care about Ling Xiao's attitude in the slightest as he continued. "In that secret realm, we discovered the true meaning of 2 inheritances of the Flowing Time Emperor from ancient times. They were engraved in 2 volumes of time, and Brother Lu Wu and I obtained them. Brother Long, do you know of the Flowing Time Emperor?" Ling Xiao nodded calmly and said, "I've heard of him. The Flowing Time Emperor was from an extremely ancient era. It said that he was even from before the 9 emperors of the human race. That's right. My space-time heavenly gate has a long history, and can be traced back to the Flowing Time Emperor and the Void Emperor, 2 ancient great emperors. It's just that too much time has passed, so the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance has been lost. However, the inheritances of the Flowing Time Emperor that we obtained from that secret realm gave me hope. As long as we gather enough inheritances of the Flowing Time Emperor, we can rediscover the complete Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance. Shirbufan stared at Ling Xiao and said slowly. His gaze was incomparably deep, as if he wanted to see through the deepest part of Ling Xiao's heart. However, the information in his words was also incomparably shocking. If the inheritances of the ancient great emperor were to be spread out, perhaps even saints would be tempted. At the same time, Ling Xiao also understood the origin of the Flowing Time Emperor. The Flowing Time Emperor in his hands was passed down by the Scarlet Dragon War God, who must have inadvertently obtained an incomplete copy of the Flowing Time Emperor. Lu Wu and Shirbufan also obtained an incomplete copy of the Flowing Time Emperor, which was the inheritance of the Flowing Time Emperor. However, Ling Xiao didn't expect Shirbufan to be so frank and tell him all this. I see. Then I congratulate Brother Shi on obtaining the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance as soon as possible. Ling Xiao said calmly. Brother Long, I won't beat around the bush with you anymore. I know that Lu Wu died in your hands, so the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance must have fallen into your hands, right? You don't have to deny it, because I have the Flowing Time Emperor on me. So I can naturally sense the aura of people who have the Flowing Time Emperor. I want the Flowing Time Emperor on you. Name your price. Chapter 1473. Shirbufan's true motive was actually the age menstruation. Furthermore, he firmly believed that the age menstruation was on Ling Xiao. Perhaps the person who obtained the age menstruation had a special sensing method. However, Ling Xiao was unable to sense the aura of the age menstruation on Shirbufan's body. Perhaps it was because the age sutra he inherited from the Scarlet Dragon War God was incomplete. Shirbufan didn't know what had happened in Ares College. He didn't know that Demon Sage Boyu had possessed Lu Wu's body. Even if he knew, he would think that Lu Wu's age sutra inheritance had fallen into Ling Xiao's hands. Ling Xiao's mind spun, but he didn't deny it directly. Otherwise, it would be difficult to explain his age menstruation. Therefore, he could only admit his mistake. You're right. Lu Wu's age sutra has indeed fallen into my hands. However, why should I give it to you? Ling Xiao's expression was calm, and his eyes were deep. Even Shirbufan couldn't see through his true thoughts. Brother Long, the space-time heavenly gate has been searching for the age emperor's inheritance for countless years. Therefore, the age menstruation definitely wouldn't fall into the hands of outsiders. Do you understand? Shirbufan smiled faintly. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. Brother Shi, are you threatening me? Brother Long, you're being too polite. This is definitely not a threat. To be honest, I don't want the space-time heavenly gate to interfere. If the space-time heavenly gate interferes, the age menstruation inheritance wouldn't fall into my hands at all. Therefore, this is my private request. It's just an agreement between you and me. Shirbufan hurriedly comforted him. He didn't want to provoke Ling Xiao's rebellious emotions. Brother Shi, I've already cultivated the age sutra. How can I give it to you? Could it be that you want to search my soul? Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Brother Long, I don't want the age menstruation. I only want the age compass. You can state your conditions. Whether it's a flawless sacred treasure, a peerless sacred pill, or any other martial arts or treasures, as long as you're willing, I can get them for you. Shirbufan stared at Ling Xiao and said seriously. Ling Xiao's heart shook. He finally understood Shirbufan's true intentions. After all, the age sutra might not be able to carry the age true intent, but the age compass could. After Ling Xiao snatched the time compass from Lu Wu, he didn't have the time to study it carefully. He didn't expect that Shirbufan would target him. Time compass? Dao Brother Shi, let's not talk about the secrets contained within the time compass. Just the fact that the time compass can seal time and space is already far superior to ordinary saint artifacts. Dao Brother Shi, Do you really think that I don't know anything by exchanging ordinary saint artifacts and saint pills for it? Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Shibufan's body shook as he slowly said, "It seems like Brother Long has already understood the secrets of the time compass. Since that's the case, how can you give it to me?" The smile on Shibufan's face also faded. His entire aura became ancient and ethereal, with a faint sense of alienation. Moreover, there was an incomparable arrogance in his bones, as if his earlier enthusiasm towards Ling Xiao was all an act. "If you want the time compass, it's very simple. Give me your space-time Heavenly Gate space-time secret technique in exchange, and I will immediately give you the time compass." Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he smiled faintly. He originally wanted to refuse directly, but suddenly changed his mind and brought up the space-time secret technique. "Space-time secret technique? You really have a big appetite. It seems like Brother Long is not sincere." Shibufan's face instantly became gloomy. The space-time secret technique was the true supreme technique of the space-time Heavenly Gate. It was one of the 12 ancient heavenly techniques. It was rumored that even the Flowing Time Emperor and the Void Emperor used the space-time secret technique as a foundation to create their own supreme imperial Tao, leaving behind the Time Emperor and the Void Emperor's inheritance. If Shibufan had the space-time secret technique, why would he need to spend so much effort to find the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance? There were probably less than 5 people in the space-time Heavenly Gate who were qualified to comprehend the space-time secret technique. Every one of them was at least at the Sage Realm and had a high status. "Brother Sure, you asked me to state my conditions, and I have already stated my conditions. If you can do it, then give me the space-time secret technique in exchange. If you can't, then forget it." Ling Xiao's voice also became cold. He could see that although Shibufan looked gentle on the surface, he was extremely arrogant and self-centered. He was a very egotistical person who wanted everything to run according to his will. However, Ling Xiao did not fall for this. "Long Out Yen, you should know that anyone who dares to go against me has already disappeared from this world." Shibufan's eyes flickered with a strange light as he spoke expressionlessly. At this moment, he directly called Ling Xiao by his name, and even began to threaten him. He could sense that Ling Xiao would never hand over the time compass to him. "Is that so? Could it be that you want to make a move against me here? You can try." Ling Xiao smiled faintly, his expression extremely calm. On the full moon peak, the mountain wind was blowing and the sea of clouds was drifting. The golden sun in the distance sprinkled down endless rays of light, illuminating Ling Xiao and Shibufan as if they were cast in gold. The two of them seemed to have stopped moving at this moment. An incomparably terrifying aura pervaded the air. Shibufan stared at Ling Xiao, the light in his eyes fluctuating, but it eventually faded away. "Long Out Yen, do you dare to make a bet with me? Let's bet on the time compass. In tomorrow's Academy tournament, if I win, your time compass will belong to me. If I win, your time compass will belong to me." "A bet? Why should I bet with you? I'm sorry, I'm very busy right now." Ling Xiao sneered, turned around, and left the full moon peak without hesitation. He still hadn't figured out the secrets of the time compass, but he had decided to quickly figure out what it contained that made Shibufan value it so much. Although Shibufan seemed to have revealed a lot of secrets, Ling Xiao believed that there were definitely more important things that he hadn't said. Shibufan stared at Ling Xiao's departing figure, a mysterious light spreading from his eyes, along with a hint of killing intent. "Since you don't know how to appreciate favors, then you can only die." Shibufan's eyelids drooped as he muttered to himself. Buzz. A refreshing mountain breeze blew, and the clouds filled the air. Shibufan's figure instantly disappeared from the full moon peak. After Ling Xiao returned to Ares College's side courtyard, he immediately went into seclusion. First, he set up dozens of layers of spirit formations. Then he activated his heart realm to communicate with the Great Void Temple, and entered it. "Young master, you're here." Uncle Su smiled when he saw Ling Xiao's figure appear. "Uncle Su, do you know the origin of the time compass?" Ling Xiao took out the time compass and handed it to Uncle Su. Chapter 1474. The time compass was pitch black and looked extremely ancient. A mysterious aura of time flowed around it. Time compass. Uncle Su's eyes flashed, and he immediately took the time compass with a solemn look on his face. Buzz. Mysterious runes rose from Uncle Su's palm and fused with the time compass. The time compass buzzed and thousands of strands of auspicious energy rose up. It was as if an incomparably vast world was hidden within it. This isn't the real time compass. It's just a replica. However, it contains the true meaning of time and has a very obscure coordinate. I'm guessing that it's one of the tokens of the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance. Uncle Su said slowly. The Flowing Time Emperor was an ancient great emperor who had once swept across the heavens and myriad worlds. His name was renowned for an era. His extreme Tao Emperor weapon was the time compass. However, it was obvious that the time compass wasn't the real extreme Tao Emperor weapon. It was just a replica. Even so, its power was still extremely terrifying. One of the tokens of the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance? No wonder Sherbufan wanted the time compass. Uncle Su, can you tell how many time compasses there are? Ling Zhao's eyes flashed as he asked slowly. According to the obscure coordinate in the time compass, there should be 9 time compasses. Only when the 9 time compasses are gathered together will the true location of the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance be revealed. Uncle Su said slowly after sensing the time compass. Ling Xiao understood that the Flowing Time Compass and Flowing Time Compass were probably tokens left behind by the Flowing Time Great Emperor to record the location of his inheritance. However, Ling Xiao didn't understand why he couldn't find the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance in the space-time Heavenly Gate. Sherbufan probably wanted to collect the time compass and obtain the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance. That was the inheritance of a peerless great emperor. Not only could it possibly contain the time compass, an apex great emperor's weapon, it might even contain the true scriptures of a great emperor. That was a smooth path to becoming a great emperor. The entire divine world would probably go crazy over it. It was no wonder that Sherbufan was unwilling to inform the space-time Heavenly Gate. It was because he was ambitious and wanted to monopolize the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance. Young master, I advise you to remain calm. Every great emperor is a peerless genius, and they can even comprehend the power of fate and space-time. The Flowing Time Great Emperor is known as the controller of time, so he will naturally know everything that happens after his death. The inheritance of a great emperor is not that easy to obtain. I'm afraid that in the end, everyone will be reduced to a wedding dress. Uncle Su said in a meaningful tone. Ling Zhao's heart trembled slightly. The thought of the Flowing Time Great Emperor's inheritance faded a little. No one knew whether the Flowing Time Great Emperor was dead or not. It wasn't impossible for his inheritance to be a trap. Moreover, the old master's inheritance wouldn't be any weaker than the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance. When young master's Great Void Heart Charm scripture reaches the 6th level, the prominent divinity stage, you'll naturally discover its profundity. Uncle Su said with a proud smile. Ling Xiao nodded. Naturally, he had no doubts about this. Emperor Taishi was a ruthless person who could kill a great emperor. His talent was extraordinary, and he was known as the peerless Sky Pride who had the highest chance of becoming an emperor after the 9 emperors of the human clan. The geniuses of his generation were all overshadowed by his brilliance. If it wasn't for the Battle of Emperor's Fall, the Great Void Emperor might have already become the invincible Great Void Emperor that swept through the heavens. Ling Xiao and Uncle Su discussed some cultivation problems in the Great Void Heart Charm scripture. Then Ling Xiao left the Great Void Temple. Ling Xiao was still very wary of the Spacetime Academy. No one knew if the academy had any special means to monitor everyone. Although Ling Xiao was already very careful, he couldn't disappear for too long to avoid arousing suspicion. After knowing the secret of the time compass, Ling Xiao felt slightly more at ease. Not to mention that the time compass might lead him to the Flowing Time Emperor's inheritance ground. Just the time compass itself contained the true meaning of time, which could stop time. This was a powerful weapon that even a half-step saint wouldn't be able to escape from. As for Sherbufan, Ling Xiao couldn't be bothered to care about what he was scheming against. As long as he didn't provoke Ling Xiao, then it was fine. If Sherbufan really dared to have any ideas about Ling Xiao, then Ling Xiao wouldn't mind snatching the time compass from Sherbufan. The next day, the Academy tournament officially began. On top of a lofty mountain in the Spacetime Academy, there was a huge plaza that was surrounded by endless resplendent light. It looked very mysterious. It was rumored that this lofty mountain was originally hundreds of thousands of meters tall, but it was later split apart by a great sage of the Spacetime Heavenly Gate, forming the largest plaza in the Spacetime Academy. It was also the location of this year's Academy tournament. When Ling Xiao and the others arrived at the plaza with Tong Yuan and Han Li, they saw that there were already many people gathered there. Aside from the genius disciples of the various academies who had come to participate in the Academy tournament, there were also many disciples of the Space-Time Academy who had come to watch the fun. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He could feel that this lofty mountain was emitting an ancient and majestic aura. Furthermore, there was an endlessly growing Saint Dao sword intent lingering around it, its sharpness faintly discernible. The rumor that the great sage of the Spacetime Heavenly Gate had split apart this lofty mountain with a single sword strike was probably true. A huge stage had already been set up in the plaza. There were all sorts of mysterious array runes lingering around it. The light was dense, and the void trembled, forming a huge array space. In the void there were 8 ancient stone chairs at the very top, which were the seats for the deans of the 8 great academies. Below them were a few hundred smaller seats for the deans and elders of the other academies. The academy tournament was actually centered around the 8 great academies. The other academies were only allowed to participate, but they didn't have much say in it. The academy tournament rotated among the 8 great academies, and this year, it was the Spacetime Academy's turn. Whoosh! 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 The numerous deans and elders of the various academies all arrived at their seats in the void. At the same time, their gazes landed on a white-robed elder with white hair and a beard. He looked like a transcendent being. This person was the dean of the Spacetime Academy, Shi Tianfang. He was also the host of this year's Academy tournament. Everyone, welcome to the Spacetime Academy to participate in the Academy tournament. Today, so many geniuses have gathered here. Your presence brings light to the Spacetime Academy's humble dwelling. Shi Tianfang stood in the void, light lingering around his body. His white robes fluttered in the wind, and his gaze was incomparably deep as he cupped his hands and bowed to the crowd. His entire being seemed to have become one with the heavens and earth. This bow made everyone feel as if the heavens and earth had submitted to them, and they couldn't help but feel a chill in their hearts. It looks like Shi Tianfang has already taken that step. Chapter 1475. At the peak of the godly king realm, one could comprehend the sage Dao. As long as one could take that final step, they would reach the half-step sage realm. However, taking that final step was extremely difficult. Many people were stuck at the peak of the godly king realm, just like Tong Yuan, Han Li, Sima Bo, and the others. They were all at the peak of the godly king realm, but they were still unable to reach the half-step sage realm. That final step had blocked almost 99% of the powerhouses. Reaching the half-step sage realm was already so difficult, let alone reaching the sage realm. That was why there was a saying that everyone below the sage realm was an ant. No matter how many godly kings there were, they would still die when facing a sage. Shi Tianfang had already taken that final step and reached the half-step sage realm. Shi Tianfang didn't seem to notice the complicated expressions on Tong Yuan and the others' faces as he continued. The rules of the academy tournament are jointly set by us 8 great academies, so we will definitely ensure absolute fairness. This year's academy tournament will be divided into 3 rounds. The first round will be an elimination round, where those at the godly king realm and above can directly advance, while the others will have to battle. The first round will determine 100 people, and these 100 people will have the chance to advance to the second round. The second round will be a challenge round, where a champion will be randomly selected from the stage. Every champion will have to be challenged by others and maintain a 5-match winning streak. Only then will they be automatically granted a spot to advance to the third round, where the top 20 will advance to the next round. The third round will be a challenge round, where a total of 20 people will fight and challenge each other. Everyone will have to fight against the remaining 10 or so people, and the final ranking will be determined by the number of victories. Of course, Everyone knows about the top 10 of this year's Academy tournament. The top 10 will obtain the right to enter the Void Saint realm, and the top 100 will also be rewarded with divine weapons, spiritual medicines, and divine pills. Shi Tianfeng then explained the rules and rewards of the Academy tournament to Lu Yin. There were a total of 3 rounds, and the rules were simple and clear. Furthermore, they were extremely fair, so no one objected. When they heard Shi Tianfeng mention the Void Saint realm, the eyes of many of the genius disciples lit up, and they all revealed excited and expectant expressions. It was extremely difficult for a peak godly king to take that final step and break through to the half-step sage realm. If one didn't have any luck, it might take tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of years. However, the Void Saint world could shorten the process by hundreds or even thousands of times. As long as one could find their own path of the holy path in the Void Saint world, it could be said that one would definitely be able to become a half-saint. This was a smooth path to the heavens. Therefore, any genius who had confidence in their own abilities would also be determined to obtain a slot to enter the Void Sacred world. Now, I declare that the Astral Combat Tournament has officially begun. Following Shi Tianfeng's final announcement, everyone started to get excited and seethe with excitement. There were a total of 24 God King Realm warriors in the 8 academies, and 6 God King Realm warriors in the other ordinary academies. These 30 God King Realm warriors could skip the first round and enter the second round directly. As for the remaining people, they would have to compete for the remaining 70 spots. The first round of eliminations was simple and brutal. A total of over 1,000 geniuses would enter the arena and engage in a chaotic battle. Only the last 70 people would be able to advance. Ling Xiao had never imagined that the first round of the Astral Combat Tournament would be a chaotic battle. After all, chaotic battles were the most difficult to control, and could easily result in casualties. However, the Spacetime Academy seemed to have thought of this as well. The arena wasn't very large, only tens of thousands of feet wide. It could accommodate over 1,000 geniuses, which meant that the distance between them was at most 10 feet. This was to force them to fight. If they were knocked off the arena, they would be eliminated. Furthermore, there were many deans and elders supervising them. They also stipulated that no killing moves could be made in the arena. Otherwise, they would be disqualified from the Astral Combat Tournament. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Following Shi Tianfeng's announcement, aside from the 30 God King Realm warriors, everyone else leaped up and flew onto the arena. This time, the Ares Academy was in an awkward position. The Spacetime Academy, 5 Elements Academy, and Heavenly Curse Academy each had 5 God King Realm warriors. Even the Imperial Academy, Heavenly Sword Academy, Overlord Academy, and Great Zhou Academy each had 2 God King Realm warriors. However, the Ares Academy was pitiful, as they only had Zhou Daoji. However, Tong Yuan and Han Li's expressions were very calm, as if they weren't worried at all. This was because they had full confidence in Tian Gang and Ling Xiao. Tong Yuan, you old fool. The Astral Combat Tournament has 3 rounds. If that Long Outyin kid is eliminated in the first round, then you'll definitely lose. Sima Bo glanced at Tong Yuan and chuckled. You don't have to worry about that. Long Outyin will definitely advance to the second round and sweep through everyone in the third round. Tong Yuan smiled faintly, his expression incomparably calm. You're just being stubborn. In a chaotic battle, anything can happen. Sima Bo coldly sneered. The deans and elders of the various academies all had different expressions. They had long heard of the huge bet between the Ares Academy and the Heavenly Curse Academy. Although they didn't believe that Long Outyin could win the championship, they were still very curious about this kid called Long Outyin. Their gazes all landed on Ling Xiao. Yuan Fei, tell them that if they can eliminate Long Outyin in the first round, then each of them will be rewarded with a God King pill. Sima Bo's cold voice transmitted into Yuan Fei's mind. Yuan Fei was slightly taken aback. Sima Bo was really generous. The God King pellet was a supreme grade divine pellet that could allow a Great Circle Heavenly God Realm expert to break through to the God King realm instantly without any side effects. He had never thought that Sima Bo would be willing to take out a God King pellet for Long Outyin. Alright. Yuan Fei didn't say anything else. He nodded and transmitted a message to the 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy. Eliminate Long Aotian? Eldest senior brother, don't worry. We'll definitely kick him out of the arena. The 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy were shocked and couldn't help but become excited. Be careful, Yuan Fei said faintly and then cut off the transmission. The few of you, if you can eliminate Long Aotian, I'll reward you handsomely. Golden light lingered in Jin Xianzong's eyes as he glanced at Ling Xiao. However, his voice had already reached the ears of the 5 disciples of the 5 Elements Academy. Eldest senior brother, don't worry. Long Aotian definitely won't make it to the second round. The few disciples of the 5 Elements Academy sneered and said. Shibufan's cold voice also reached the ears of the few disciples of the Spacetime Academy. Eliminate Long Aotian at all costs. Yes. Chapter 1476. The disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy, 5 Elements Academy, and Spacetime Academy all received the order to eliminate Long Aotian. And it wasn't just them. Ji Yuanlong hated Ling Xiao to the bone. Although he didn't dare to give the order openly, he asked the disciples of the Great Zhou Academy to think of ways to secretly trip Ling Xiao up. Ling Xiao's senses were incomparably sharp. In an instant, he noticed that there were dozens of unfriendly gazes on the stage. Although those gazes were obscure, Ling Xiao could sense that they were from the Heavenly Curse Academy, 5 Elements Academy, Spacetime Academy, and Great Zhou Academy. You want to deal with me? Since that's the case, don't blame me for eliminating all of you. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed as he sneered in his heart. Junior brother Long, what should we do later? Tiangang glanced at Ling Xiao and smiled. What else can we do? Just fight. Senior brother, if you have the time, take care of the disciples of the Imperial Academy. Try your best to ensure that no one from the Ares Academy is eliminated. Leave the rest to me. Ling Xiao smiled faintly as his eyes revealed a strong fighting spirit. All right. I really can't wait to see the expressions of the disciples from the other academies. But leave the Heavenly Curse Academy to me. Tiangang laughed heartily. However, when his gaze landed on the 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy, his gaze instantly turned incomparably cold. No problem. Ling Xiao nodded and said. He understood Tiangang's thoughts. The Heavenly Curse Academy could be said to be one of the main culprits behind the decline of the Pangu clan. They had an irreconcilable blood feud with the Pangu clan. Even if Tiangang couldn't deal with the Heavenly Curse Academy now, these disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy wouldn't have it easy. A chaotic battle. I like chaotic battles with no rules. Other than the people from the Ares Academy, all of these people should be eliminated. Yi Liangchen said excitedly. Especially when he looked at the disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy and 5 Elements Academy, his eyes were filled with hostility. Everyone be careful. When the chaotic battle begins, try not to split up and fight together. Leave the rest to me and senior brother. Ling Xiao reminded them one last time. Everyone nodded. They were now incomparably confident in Ling Xiao. Rumble. A dazzling divine light exploded in the air above the arena. It was like a terrifying thunderbolt. Moreover, it formed an incomparably huge battle character in the air. The first round of the battle royale had begun. On the huge arena, thousands of geniuses were in it. Most of them were in groups, forming small groups. They also knew that if they wanted to advance in the first round, the 8 great academies would be their biggest enemy. After all, most of them were disciples of ordinary academies. Basically, they only had 1 or 2 spots, unlike the 8 great academies. Each academy had 10 spots, so if they wanted to stand out, they had to work together. Rumble. As the battle royale began, some of the genius experts couldn't hold themselves back any longer. They all unleashed their incomparably powerful battle strength and attacked each other. In the beginning, they didn't dare to attack the 8 academies. They just tacitly attacked those individuals who didn't form teams. Thus, tragedy befell those people. Perhaps their battle prowess was not bad, but unfortunately, 2 fists were no match for 4 hands, and they were soon blasted off the ring. On the arena, dazzling divine light interweaved. Terrifying fist prints, blade lights, sword lights, and rod shadows were all engaged in a chaotic battle. The scene was incomparably shocking and terrifying. In this simple collision, a small half of the people were eliminated. Kill. So what if they are disciples of the 8 great academies? Eliminate them all. Finally, someone couldn't hold himself back and started to attack the disciples of the 8 great academies. Rumble. More than 20 geniuses stared at the people of Ares College. Terrifying divine light interweaved, causing the sky to shake violently. Those 20 geniuses' auras were like rainbows. They all unleashed their strongest battle prowess, wanting to eliminate Ling Xiao and the others in one go. Fuck, kill them. Do they really think we are easy to bully? Yu Liangchen cursed. Divine light surrounded his body as if there was lightning flickering. He punched towards those people. Let's fight. Tian Gang and Ling Xiao looked at each other and instantly attacked at the same time. Rumble. Dazzling golden light gushed out. Tian Gang's physical body was unparalleled, as if there was a golden divine dragon circling around him. His aura was unparalleled. He struck out with his palm, and 5 golden divine mountains pressed down horizontally. On the other hand, Ling Xiao punched out. The golden fist print exploded with a vast dragon's roar, causing the sky to rumble loudly. Tian Gang and Ling Xiao protected Yi Liangchen, and the others from the left and right. They were like 2 immemorial divine dragons that soared across the sky. In an instant, they killed their way into the group of geniuses. Ling Xiao's physical body was invincible. Just the strength of his physical body alone wasn't something that an ordinary divine king expert could withstand, let alone a group of heavenly gods. As for the strength of Tian Gang, it was even more terrifying. The moment the 2 of them attacked, the entire arena was instantly ignited. Endless divine light exploded, and one figure after another was swept away by them. One after another, they coughed out blood and were forced to fall out of the arena. Almost no one was a match for Tian Gang and Ling Xiao. Even Yi Liangchen and the others didn't have much time to attack. Those geniuses were defeated by Tian Gang and Ling Xiao. All of them were blasted out of the arena and eliminated directly. Big brother, you should at least leave some of them for us. Yi Liangchen said with a long face. Lu Zhengfeng, Xianwang, Wang Lin, Minro and the others were also unhappy. It wasn't easy for them to have a great battle, but they didn't even have the chance to attack. Everyone was eliminated by Ling Xiao and Tian Gang like a tornado. That's Long Outyan and Tian Gang from Ares College? How can they have such terrifying combat strength? With such battle prowess, he should be on par with God Kings, right? Everyone was shocked. They couldn't believe what they had just seen. Those people weren't ordinary heavenly gods. Which one of them wasn't a genius expert from their own college? Moreover, almost all of them were in the great circle of the heavenly god realm. They were extremely powerful. But even so, they were still defeated by the combined forces of Ling Xiao and Tian Gang. The scene before their eyes was too shocking. Eldest senior brother wants us to eliminate Long Outyan? We're lucky that Long Outyan didn't eliminate us. The 5 disciples from Heavenly Curse Academy were dumbfounded. When they saw Ling Xiao and Tian Gang attack, they instantly understood that even the 5 of them together wouldn't be a match for Ling Xiao. At this moment, Tian Gang's gaze landed on the 5 disciples from Tian Gang Academy. His eyes revealed a trace of cold sharpness. Disciples of Heavenly Curse Academy, get down from the arena. Following Tian Gang's roar, he flew across the sky. The golden blood chi around his body shook the void. His entire person seemed to have turned into an ancient divine mountain and suppressed the 5 disciples from Heavenly Curse Academy. Chapter 1477. The Heavenly Dipper was like a hurricane, covering the sky and covering the earth. The terrifying fist imprints seemed to have transformed into numerous golden divine dragons, containing incomparably terrifying power, and drowned the 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy. Damn it! The 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy had ugly expressions. They hadn't even started to target Ling Xiao, but Tian Gang had already targeted them. Speaking of which, they weren't weak either. They were all in the great circle of the heavenly god realm, and had great battle prowess. They all had the arrogance of a genius, but compared to a freak like Tian Gang, they were still lacking. One had to know that the Panga clan was an emperor clan. Even though Tiangang's emperor bloodline was sealed, his terrifying physical strength wasn't something that ordinary people could contend against. 5 Elements Heavenly Curse. As the 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy roared, the light around them suddenly became dazzling. Rays of divine light shot up into the sky. Above their heads, ancient runes appeared. Metal, wood, water, fire, earth. The 5 runes seemed to contain the power of the 5 elements. Although the 5 disciples' auras were completely different, they fused together and turned into a vast 5-colored light. The 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy seemed to have formed a 5 elements mountain. They stood tall in the vast divine light storm, as firm as diamond. Boom, boom, boom. Tiangang's terrifying fist imprints landed on the 5 elements mountain. It only caused the 5 runes to tremble violently, but there were no signs of them collapsing. How is this Tiangang so strong? The 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy had disbelief in their eyes. Previously, they thought that Ling Xiao was the strongest disciple of the Ares Academy. But now, it seemed that this Tiangang was simply too ferocious. He wasn't any weaker than Ling Xiao. His terrifying physical body was like that of an ancient divine beast, causing them to tremble in fear. The 5 Elements Heavenly Curse was the strongest curse technique they had mastered. Its defense was invincible, and it was said that even divine kings couldn't break it. Now the disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy no longer wanted to eliminate Ling Xiao. They only wanted to rely on the power of the 5 Elements Heavenly Curse to last until the end of the battle royale, and successfully advance to the second round. Eldest senior brother, watch me break their tortoise shell. Ling Xiao smiled faintly as his eyes shone brightly. He leaped forward like a shooting star, and aimed a punch at the 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy. Roar! The dragon's roar shook the heavens. 2 golden divine dragons appeared around Ling Xiao. They were completely condensed from pure blood and qi. It was as if they were cast in gold. They exuded a monstrous dragon's might. As Ling Xiao's fist landed, the 2 divine dragons intertwined with each other. It was as if they had turned into a golden yuan qi bomb, exploding in an instant. Crack! Ling Xiao's punch contained the strongest physical strength of the divine dragon body and the undying combat body. Even the 5 Elements Heavenly Curse couldn't withstand the power of this punch. Cracks appeared on it instantly. What? The disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy were scared out of their wits. Their eyes were filled with terror. This was the 5 Elements Sky Curse, which was known for its invincible defense. However, it had already reached its limit with a single punch from Ling Xiao. Boom! When Ling Xiao's second punch landed, it was as if a golden sun had exploded in the sky. Endless streams of fire spewed out in all directions. The 5 Elements Heavenly Curse exploded in an instant. As for the 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy, it was as if they had been struck by lightning. Their bodies trembled violently as they spat out mouthfuls of blood. The 5 Elements Heavenly Curse was destroyed by Ling Xiao in an incomparably violent manner. Even the 5 of them had suffered quite a bit of backlash. All of you get off the stage. Ling Xiao destroyed the 5 Elements Heavenly Curse, but Celestial Dipper's speed wasn't slow in the slightest. He soared into the sky and directly swept out with his leg. His strength could break through 1,000 armies, and he was invincible. It was as if a heavenly pillar had been lifted up and then swept away. It was unstoppable. The 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy's faces changed drastically. A series of explosions sounded, and all 5 of their bones were broken. They couldn't resist at all, and were swept off the stage by Tiangang in a bloody mess. Bastard! Guan Chun, Yuan Fei and the rest of the Heavenly Curse Academy's disciples' faces changed. Their eyes were extremely ugly as they looked at Tiangang and Ling Xiao with cold killing intent. The disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy were swept off the stage like dead dogs. They couldn't resist at all. It made them feel as if they had been slapped in the face. Long Outyin and Tiangang have both cultivated the indestructible war body. They should have reached the great perfection of the indestructible war body. Moreover, their bloodlines are extraordinary as well. They can suppress ordinary divine kings with their physical strength alone. However, physical strength doesn't mean everything. When they enter the second round, I will make my move. A strange light shot out from Yuan Fei's eyes. It was as if he could see through Ling Xiao and Tiangang. With eldest senior brother making his move, these two bastards will definitely lose. Guan Qin sneered coldly as his eyes were extremely cold. Tong Yuan, the Ares Academy has really produced two genius disciples. Sima Bo's expression was ugly. A dim light flickered in his eyes as he glanced indifferently at Tong Yuan. Long Outyin and Tiangang are still young. They need to continue training. If they meet a true expert, they won't be able to win so easily. Tong Yuan said with a smile. However, his words almost made Sima Bo's nose crooked from anger. What did he mean by they won't be able to win so easily if they meet a true expert? Did he mean that the 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy were all trash? Sima Bo was furious. He didn't even look at Tong Yuan anymore. He was afraid that he would lose control and punch Tong Yuan's old face. No one expected that the 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy would be the first to be eliminated. The disciples of the 5 Elements Academy, Spacetime Academy, and Great Zhou Academy were all shocked. They hadn't even made their move yet, and Ling Xiao had already eliminated the Heavenly Curse Academy. How could they still have any thoughts of targeting Ling Xiao? They all hid far away, afraid that Ling Xiao would find them an eyesore and eliminate them as well. They didn't think that Ling Xiao was much stronger than the 5 disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy. Kill! The disciples of Ares College were all in high spirits. Their eyes were filled with fighting spirit. It was as if they had been inspired by Ling Xiao and Tiangang. They all joined the battle and fought with the other genius disciples. Junior brother Long, the 5 Elements Academy and Spacetime Academy have always been against us. Why don't we eliminate them all? Chapter 1478. No problem. How about this? 5 Elements Academy and Spacetime Academy both have 5 people. Let's see who will eliminate them first. Ling Xiao said with a faint smile. Good. Haha. Leave the 5 Elements Academy to me. Tiangang laughed as blood energy rose from his body. He instantly soared into the sky and charged towards the 5 disciples of the 5 Elements Academy. Rumble. Blood energy lingered around his body. His bronze skin was filled with explosive power. He wore a beast skin and exuded an incomparably wild aura. His black hair danced in the wind, making him look like an ancient beast. Being stared at by him, the 5 disciples of the 5 Elements Academy felt their hearts jump. Their original battle intent instantly dissipated by more than half. 5 Elements Academy, I don't like you. So please scram as well. Heavenly Dipper's voice boomed out like thunder. He punched out with his fist, and an incomparably ferocious fist imprint exploded in the air. Instantly, a bolt of lightning descended from the 9 heavens, enveloping the disciples of the 5 Elements Academy. Tiangang 5 Thunder Technique. Tiangang did not use the divine power in his body at all. He used the pure power of his body to display this technique. Connecting with the 9 heavens lightning, the power was terrifying to the extreme. Tiangang, you're going too far. A disciple from the 5 Elements Academy roared. His hand shone with a resplendent light as a golden ancient sword appeared in his hand. Sword intent gushed forth from his entire body as the ancient sword soared up into the air, transforming into a golden river. In an instant, millions upon millions of sword chi exploded forth, aiming for the vitals of Heaven Dipper. Great 5 Elements Sword Chi. One of the unique techniques of the 5 Elements Academy. It was indestructible and extremely powerful. Clearly, this disciple of the 5 Elements Academy had an extraordinary cultivation, and had already cultivated it to perfection. As for the other 4 disciples, their bodies surged with monstrous flames. They all cultivated fire attribute unique techniques. A 3-legged golden crow appeared behind them, and set off endless flames. It turned into 4 resplendent flaming saber lights and attacked Tiangang. Golden Crow Flaming Saber, another unique technique of the 5 Elements Academy. The 5 disciples of the 5 Elements Academy were also forced by Tiangang to the point that they began to fight with their lives on the line. One by one, they displayed their trump cards, not hoping to kill Tiangang, but hoping to force Tiangang to retreat. Otherwise, they would probably suffer the same fate as the disciples of the Heavenly Curse Academy, and be eliminated. Rumble. Astral Dipper's gaze was calm as his battle intent towered up into the sky. He faced the sword light that filled the sky and soared into the sky, as though he didn't block at all. When those golden sword chi slammed into him, the sound of metal clashing rang out as sparks flew in all directions. They weren't even able to leave behind a single sword mark on his body. As Tiangong's fist came crashing down, the resplendent lightning transformed into a lightning dragon, roaring as it charged over. The face of the disciple who had unleashed the great five elemental sword beam changed drastically. He had not expected Tiangang to charge at him like this. Moreover, Tiangang did not even attempt to dodge his great five elemental sword beam. Boom! That lightning dragon was vivid and lifelike. The might of the dragon was vast as it broke through the layers of sword chi and slammed into the ancient golden sword in his hand. That disciple felt as though he had been rammed by an ancient divine beast. His entire body felt like it was about to fall apart as he was sent flying backwards, blood spurting out from his mouth. At this moment, the four flaming blade lights were wrapped in unparalleled divine power as they slashed down towards Tiangang. Open! Tiangang's eyes flashed as he raised his hands into the air like an overlord lifting a cauldron. In the middle of his arms, an incomparably resplendent lightning black hole appeared, instantly sucking in the four flaming blade lights, and began to expand. The faces of the four disciples from the Five Elements Academy changed as they felt the energy in their bodies being sucked out. Their entire bodies were involuntarily sent flying towards Tiangang. Rumble. When the lightning black hole expanded to its limit, it suddenly exploded. Streaks of lightning intertwined as endless lightning filled the sky. The void trembled violently, and even a chaotic mist appeared as though everything had been blown apart, annihilated into nothingness. The terrifying lightning pierced through the void, and fiercely blasted onto the bodies of the four Five Elements Academy disciples. Their bodies emitted resplendent rays of light, and countless defensive treasures were turned into dust by the lightning, and they were all sent flying. On the other side, Ling Xiao also pounced towards the five disciples from the Spacetime Academy. Kill! The eyes of the five disciples from the Spacetime Academy were cold as they revealed monstrous killing intent. Facing Ling Xiao, they did not retreat at all. Imprison! Two of the black-robed youths roared as they retracted their arms. Blazing divine light shrouded the sky in all directions. A mysterious spatial energy descended like an incomparably vast barrier that enveloped Ling Xiao's entire body. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He felt as though he had fallen into a swamp. The space from all directions was squeezing towards him, making it extremely difficult for him to move. This was the power of the spatial laws. The faces of the two black-robed youths were somewhat pale. It was as though using this divine ability was a great burden on them. Flowing light. Following another roar, the remaining three white-robed youths surged with light, and actually turned into three incomparably resplendent sword lights that shot towards Ling Xiao's glabella, heart, and dantian. Man and sword as one, the resplendent sword lights seemed to envelop the entire sky. The surroundings were a vast expanse of white, and nothing could be seen. However, the combination of man and sword wasn't the most terrifying part. The most terrifying part was that Ling Xiao actually felt the power of time from this divine ability. Using the man and sword as one to control the power of time, these three sword lights became extremely terrifying. Not only did they want to eliminate Ling Xiao, but they also wanted to kill Ling Xiao. Let me see what kind of mysteries you have comprehended in the menstrual cycle. Outside the arena, Shi Bufan's eyes were filled with a blazing light as he stared fixedly at Ling Xiao. His eyes did not move at all. Ling Xiao's eyes were as calm as water, but there was a trace of resplendent light flickering in them, emitting some kind of immortal and eternal fluctuation. In just the blink of an eye, the three sword lights had already arrived in front of Ling Xiao. The stern sword lights carried the threat of death. Boom! It was as if a volcano had erupted, but also as if an ancient ferocious beast had awoken from its slumber. A vast and majestic aura gushed out. And then it was like a rising sun that emitted boundless divine light. Ling Xiao's blood boiled as an incomparably terrifying power erupted. He simply put his palms together, and the three resplendent sword lights instantly shattered in his palms. Crack! Chapter 1479. Roar. Following the roar of a dragon, Ling Xiao's body glowed brightly as he transformed into a golden divine dragon. His aura surged as it swept through the surroundings. His palms turned into 2 dragon claws that looked like they were made of gold. After shattering the 3 sword lights, the 3 disciples from the Space-Time Academy appeared and collided with the dragon claws. Boom! The 3 disciples from the Space-Time Academy trembled as their chests caved in. They were like skewered haws on a stick as the golden dragon claws pierced through their chests, causing blood to gush out from their wounds. Ling Xiao's golden eyes were filled with a cold light. However, he did not choose to kill the 3 disciples from the Space-Time Academy. If he did, he would lose the right to participate in the Academy tournament. Bang! The golden dragon claw suddenly shook and instantly sent the 3 disciples of the Space-Time Academy flying. Blood gushed out of the holes in their chests, and the 3 of them screamed in pain. Their eyes were filled with incomparable fear. As for the 2 black-robed disciples who had sealed the space, because the space was broken by Ling Xiao, they also suffered a huge backlash, and their auras became incomparably chaotic. How did Long Outyin transform into a divine dragon? Is this the legendary dragonification technique? Someone exclaimed, their eyes filled with disbelief. The golden divine dragon in the void was tens of thousands of feet long. It looked extremely lifelike and exuded a vast and ancient dragon's might. Its aura surged to the heavens, causing anyone who looked at it to tremble in fear. It did not seem like a martial path divine ability or martial path dharma idol, but a true primordial divine dragon. Dragonification technique? Who would have thought that Long Outyin would have such a fortuitous encounter? Even the deans and elders of the various academies revealed incomparably shocked expressions. In ancient times, a sage had created the dragonification technique, which allowed one to transform into a true dragon with the body of a human. It allowed one to possess the strength and divine abilities of a true dragon. However, the dragonification technique had a huge flaw. It required a corresponding amount of dragon blood essence. They believed that Ling Xiao must have obtained the dragon blood essence to transform into a primordial divine dragon. At this moment, no one doubted Ling Xiao's identity as a human. After all, the dragon race would not come to the immortal realm. Even if they did, they would be easily discovered. Roar! Another loud dragon roar shook the void as a huge golden dragon tail swept out. Not only did it envelop the 5 disciples of the Space-Time Academy, but it also affected everyone else. After all, the space above the arena was not large. When soaring firmament transformed into a dragon and attacked, it actually enveloped over 100 genius powerhouses. Rumble. Thunder rumbled as the wind and clouds stirred. Naturally, the 5 Space-Time Academy disciples were swept off the stage without any hesitation. However, it was unknown whether it was intentional or not, but even the Great Zhou Academy's disciples were affected. They were at the center of the Dragon Tail's power. Long Outyin, you bastard! The disciples of the Great Zhou Academy were so depressed that they were about to vomit blood. They roared one after another, but they could only use their powerful strength to resist. Bang! A small part of the huge arena had been cleared. The disciples of the Great Zhou Academy had all been swept out of the arena. Their bodies shook violently as they spat out blood. They had been eliminated. Damn it! Ji Yuanlong's eyes flashed with murderous intent as he looked at Ling Xiao with anger. He did not believe that this was a coincidence. It was one thing for the 5 great disciples of the Space-Time Academy to be eliminated, but even the Great Zhou Academy's disciples were implicated. Ji Yuanlong was certain that Ling Xiao had done this on purpose. Ever since he had knelt down and apologized to Ling Xiao in the mythical space, Ji Yuanlong had been thinking about killing Ling Xiao. It had even become an obsession. Among the 8 disciples of the Great Zhou Academy, there were a few who had a high chance of entering the top 100. However, because of Ling Xiao, all of them were eliminated. In the void, the dean of the Great Zhou Academy, Ji Guyuan, had a cold look in his eyes. Ji Jun jumped up and pointed at Tong Yuan and Han Li. He said angrily, Tong Yuan, Long Outyin is too presumptuous. Why is he targeting the Great Zhou Academy? In name, the War God Grand Supreme, Sky Sword, Overlord, and the Great Zhou Academy were on the same side. Naturally, they should help each other and not attack each other. Therefore, Jijun directly attacked. Jijun, don't talk nonsense. When did Long Outyin target the Great Zhou Academy? It's just a coincidence. Han Li sneered. Although his expression was calm, he was extremely happy that Ling Xiao had eliminated the disciples of the Great Zhou Academy. The Great Zhou Academy was a traitor. Over the years, as the 9 Imperial Gates attitude became more ambiguous, the Great Zhou Academy became more arrogant and despotic. They did not put the Ares Academy in their eyes. Many disciples of the Ares Academy had suffered losses because of them. Coincidence? If it's a coincidence, why is the Grand Supreme Academy fine? Why are the other academies fine? He's purposely targeting the disciples of the Great Zhou Academy. Jijun was about to go crazy as he said coldly. However, Jijun's words made a pretty girl beside Tong Yuan unhappy. Jijun, you mean that the Grand Supreme Academy should also be eliminated by Long Outyin? The Grand Supreme Academy's Dean Lu Shuling glared at Jijun and said, Dean Lu, that's not what I meant. Long Outyin is really too much. As soon as Jijun met Lu Shuling's gaze, he shuddered in his heart and smiled bitterly. Not only was Lu Shuling the Grand Supreme Academy's dean, her status was also extremely high. She had an unimaginable background, and even Jijun did not dare to offend her. Don't talk so much nonsense. Your Great Zhou Academy's disciples are inferior. What's there to say? Don't shout here and become a joke to others. Lu Shuling snorted coldly. Jijun held back a mouthful of blood in his heart, but he could not do anything. He was about to suffer internal injuries from holding it in. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he stared at Ling Xiao. Tong Yuan and Han Li looked at each other and smiled knowingly. They both knew that this was not Ling Xiao's true strength. Just the strength of his physical body alone was enough to sweep through the crowd. Countless people were shocked, and their expectations of Ling Xiao grew even stronger. You actually broke the confinement and flowing light divine powers without using your period? Dragon form technique. It seems like you have a lot of secrets on you. I'm really getting more and more curious about you. Shi Bufan's eyes were deep as he stared at Ling Xiao. Boom. A resplendent light exploded in the void. Ling Xiao's body flashed and he returned to his human form. He stepped on the void, and his white robes were peerless, like a god descending to the mortal world. At this moment, Tiangang had also eliminated all the disciples of the 5 Elements Academy. His blood aura was monstrous, and his battle intent was high. He was like a peerless demon god. The geniuses of the other academies did not dare to look at them. Each of their faces revealed an incomparably bitter smile. Chapter 1480. Those 2 bastards. Senior brother, we can't let them off. The 5 Elements Academy's Divine King Realm disciples were filled with righteous indignation. Their eyes were filled with rage. They never thought that Ling Xiao and Tiangang would be so bold and impudent. They had offended the Heavenly Curse Academy, the 5 Elements Academy, the Spacetime Academy, and the Great Zhou Academy. Arrogant. Jin Xianzong's eyes were cold as he stared deeply at Ling Xiao. On the arena, because of Ling Xiao and Tiangang's sudden appearance, all the disciples of the 4 great academies were eliminated, completely shocking everyone. How could the remaining geniuses dare to target Ling Xiao and Tiangang? Even the disciples from Ares Academy had given up and started fighting amongst themselves. However, everyone's attention had been taken away by Ling Xiao and Tiangang. Many of the geniuses even lost half of their fighting spirit. Soon, the first round of the battle royale ended. When there were only 70 people left on the stage, a bright light spread out and enveloped everyone. The battle also stopped. The 9 people from Ares Academy had all advanced to the second round. Not a single one of them had been eliminated. It was a miracle. Junior brother Long, you have completely offended the 4 great academies this time. I'm afraid that they will target you in the next round. Wang Lin and Minro smiled bitterly as they looked at Ling Xiao. Why should I be afraid of them? My brother is destined to sweep through all the heroes and become the champion of the Academy tournament. If they dare to make a move, I'll just beat them back. Yi Liangchen said nonchalantly. His eyes were filled with excitement. Yi Liangchen is right. The Heavenly Curse Academy, the The Five Elements Academy and the Spacetime Academy are our opponents. Even if we don't target them, they will target us. We might as well strike first. As for those traitors from the Great Zhou Academy, eliminate them so that we don't have to worry about them. The arrogant Deng Gongjue nodded and agreed with Yi Liangchen's words. Everyone should be careful in the second round of the competition. I'm afraid that the four great academies will make a move. We will try our best to obtain enough spots to enter the third round. Everyone should be careful. Ling Xiao said to the crowd. Because he and Tiangang were in too much of a limelight in the first round, he was afraid that there would be disciples from the other four great academies targeting them. Ling Xiao guessed that it was unlikely that Jin Xianzong, Yuan Fei, Shi Bufan, and Duan Shuilu would challenge others in the second round. They were all determined to win the championship, so they would definitely hide their strength as much as possible. Even if they were randomly selected, they would probably be blocked. Although the 10 students from Aries College had all made it to the second round, Ling Xiao felt that the most likely ones to make it to the third round were himself, Tiangang, Zhou Daoji, Yap Liangchen, and Xian Wang. After all, the cultivation of the others was still a little weak. It would be fine if they were to face a great perfection heavenly god, but it would be difficult for them to face a divine king. After all, among the 100 people in the second round, only 20 would be able to enter the third round. How to complete the 5 challenges first was a problem. Congratulations on entering the second round. The second round of the Astral Tournament is an arena competition. Anyone who is willing to accept a challenge can step onto the arena. We will randomly select 5 people. And as long as you can defeat these 5 people, you will advance to the third round. Shi Tianfeng stood in the air as he slowly spoke to the crowd. The rules of the second round weren't difficult to understand. It might be difficult, but it might also be easy. If the 5 people selected were all disciples from the same sect, then all of them would admit defeat, and they would naturally be able to advance to the next round easily. If they were selected against someone like Ling Xiao or Tiangang, then it would be a tragedy. However, Ling Xiao believed that this so-called random selection would definitely block out the strongest people from the 8 great academies. Every academy would have at least one person who would be able to avoid being selected. This was a hidden benefit of the 8 great academies, and it wouldn't prevent any of them from entering the third round. Although the geniuses who had been eliminated in the first round were somewhat unwilling, they couldn't do anything about it. They could only blame themselves for being too weak. At this moment, everyone's eyes were on the 100 geniuses, and they were all guessing who would be able to advance to the third round. Rumble. The arena in the center shone resplendently as it was reinforced by the elders of the Spacetime College. Then it was open to the crowd. Whoosh. Shi Bufan's white robe and white hair fluttered in the wind. He looked elegant and extraordinary. He instantly landed on the arena. He cupped his hands and said with a smile, "I'm Shi Bufan from the Spacetime College. I'll throw a brick to attract jade. Let's begin the first challenge." It had to be said that Shi Bufan's appearance was extremely good. He looked handsome and elegant, and his temperament was extraordinary. Especially his long white hair. It made him look like he had experienced the vicissitudes of life. It attracted the eyes of many pretty girls. Very good. The first person to accept the challenge is Shi Bufan. Next, this old man will draw the first challenger. Shi Tianfeng said with a faint smile. The 5 challengers in the second round were drawn by the deans of the 8 great academies for the sake of fairness. However, Ling Xiao understood that Shi Bufan would certainly not meet Duan Shuilu, Yuan Fei, and Jin Xianzong in the second round. This was an unwritten, unspoken rule that they would only meet in the third round. The first challenger is Li Fu from the Clear Sky College. Shi Tianfeng's voice resounded in the air. Whoosh. Suddenly, a young man in a green robe leaped onto the arena. He looked at Shi Bufan with a dignified expression. He was Li Fu from the Clear Sky College. He was only in the complete heavenly god stage. He was very lucky to have passed the first round in the battle royale. He did not expect to be the first challenger now. He knew that Shi Bufan was one of the most promising people to become the champion. Therefore, he was definitely not a match for Shi Bufan. However, if he gave up just like that, he would definitely be ridiculed by the crowd. Therefore, he still had to fight. Senior brother Shi, I'm Li Fu. Please enlighten me. Li Fu cupped his hands and bowed to Shi Bufan. Brother Li, please. Shi Bufan said with a faint smile. Excuse me. Li Fu's eyes flashed. Suddenly, green divine power surged around his body. He instantly rushed toward Shi Bufan. The green light around his body was dense and untraceable like a cloud. Thousands of his figures appeared in the air and attacked Shi Bufan at the same time. Ever-changing clear sky palm. Chapter 1481. The ever-changing green cloud palm was Li Fu's trump card. In the first round, he had relied on this martial art to transform his body and survive until the end of the battle royale. Li Fu had used the ever-changing green cloud palm right from the start, which showed how much he valued Shi Bufan. Swoosh swoosh swoosh. In the void, thousands of Li Fu's figures looked extremely real. They were shrouded in green clouds, but their attack power was like a huge wave with unparalleled power. Good timing. Shi Bufan smiled faintly and a strange light flashed in his eyes. Then he took a step back. Boom. The palm prints exploded in the void, but they couldn't even touch the corner of Shi Bufan's clothes. Shi Bufan and Li Fu seemed to be very close to each other, but it was as if they were separated by endless time and space. Shi Bufan had only taken a step back, but all of Li Fu's attacks had been neutralized. This is so close, yet worlds apart. Tiangang's eyes narrowed, and a serious look appeared on his face. So close, yet worlds apart was one of the most powerful martial arts in the Spacetime College. It contained the mysterious laws of space and was extremely strange. It was an offensive martial art, a movement martial art, and a defensive martial art. The difficulty of cultivating it in the Spacetime College was no less than Ares College's Great Wilderness Sword Way. Although Shi Bufan and Li Fu seemed to be very close to each other, there were layers of space between them. This was the powerful force formed by the so close, yet worlds apart. Boom. In the next moment, Shi Bufan took another step forward. His body was ethereal like flowing water. It was very elegant. Li Fu's eyes narrowed suddenly. He felt as if Shi Bufan had appeared from the void in an instant, and was directly beside him. Then, a white palm print gently slammed towards him. That palm print actually caused Li Fu's entire body to tremble. It was as if he had encountered some sort of fatal danger. Then, without even thinking about it, he immediately circulated all the divine power in his body and abruptly focused on his hands. Then he pushed them horizontally. Bang! Li Fu felt as if his entire body had collided with an immemorial sacred mountain. In an instant, his body trembled and he was sent flying. His arms were completely numb and he couldn't feel them. Thank you for going easy on me, Senior Shi. It's my loss. Li Fu calmed his surging qi and blood before cupping his hands and speaking gratefully to Shi Bufan. He knew that Shi Bufan had shown mercy. Otherwise, that palm strike would not have just sent him flying. At the very least, both of his arms would have been crippled. Brotherly, thank you for letting me win. Shi Bufan smiled indifferently with an extraordinary bearing. Everyone was shocked. Shi Bufan's attack was too shocking. He took a step back and neutralized all of Li Fu's attacks. Then he took a step forward and defeated Li Fu with one palm. Shi Bufan's attack didn't have the slightest trace of mortal qi, but it made people's hair stand on end. It made them feel as if this wasn't someone of the same age as them, but a supreme saint who had mastered the great Tao of space. Facing such an opponent was enough to make one feel despair. In comparison, although Ling Xiao and Tiangang's attacks were incomparably ferocious, they were still understandable. Shi Bufan's attacks were even difficult for them to comprehend. His true strength should still be the martial arts that contain the law of time, right? So close yet worlds apart. It seems like he's still hiding his true strength. Ling Xiao thought to himself as he took a deep look at Shi Bufan. So close, yet worlds apart was indeed incomparably mysterious. However, Ling Xiao knew that Shi Bufan's strongest martial arts were definitely other martial arts. Li Fu couldn't force Shi Bufan to use even 1/10 of his strength. Next, Sima Bo drew the second challenger. Shi Bufan's strength was unfathomable. He didn't use any other martial arts at all. Just the power of so close, yet worlds apart was enough to defeat the remaining challengers. Even the fifth challenger, a divine king expert, was also defeated by so close, yet worlds apart. Shirbufan also became the first person to advance to the third round. I'm Yuan Fei. Brothers, please enlighten me. After Shirbufan left the arena, Yuan Fei, who was the second person to accept the challenge, also stepped onto the arena. Like before, 5 challengers were randomly drawn. The first 3 were great heavenly gods while the last 2 were early divine kings. However, they were all defeated by Yuan Fei without a doubt. Although Yuan Fei's attack was not as ethereal as Shirbufan's, it was even more mysterious and unpredictable. The curse technique he used could directly attack the primordial spirit, and even destroy the physical body. Therefore, the 5 people who challenged him all suffered different degrees of injuries. Everyone's gaze towards Yuan Fei became incomparably solemn. Yuan Fei looked harmless to humans and animals, but his attacks were incomparably ruthless. If you encounter Yuan Fei, you must be careful of his curse technique. If you can't resist it, it's best to admit defeat immediately. Ling Xiao said to the disciples of Ares College with a strange light in his eyes. This curse technique was indeed incomparably mysterious. It used runes or mantras to directly communicate with the law of heaven and earth. Its power was unparalleled, and it was impossible to guard against. The third challenger was Jin Xianzong. The great 5-element sword qi that he used was extremely sharp. It was as if he was crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood. He defeated all 5 challengers. The fourth challenger was Duan Xuelu. Duan Xuelu was a young man in a black robe. He had a cold and arrogant face and a fierce temperament. His whole body exuded an extremely powerful blade intent. His eyes were incomparably pure. Ling Xiao could tell at a glance that he was a martial fanatic who was extremely passionate about Blade Dao. Such people often had strong tenacity and were extremely terrifying. Duan Xuelu's attack shocked everyone. Regardless of whether it was a heavenly god or a divine king, there was no one who could block a single strike from him. Everyone didn't even see how Duan Xuelu attacked. They only saw a dazzling blade river across the sky. It was extremely dazzling. Then his opponent was defeated by a single blade. He has already comprehended the Saint Dao blade technique. Ling Xiao's eyes suddenly narrowed. Duan Xuelu was the first person he encountered in the academy tournament who had comprehended the Saint Dao. He was indeed extremely powerful and terrifying. In this way, Shirbufan, Yuan Fei, Jin Xianzong, and Duan Xuelu seemed to have a tacit understanding. They ended their challenges one by one, and advanced to the third round first. Their gazes landed on Ling Xiao and Tiangang at the same time. Obviously, the battle in the first round had allowed them to see the true combat strength of Ling Xiao and Tiangang. They also believed that Ling Xiao and Tiangang were qualified to be their opponents. I, Yi Liangchen, will be the 5th challenger. Who dares to challenge me? Duan Xuelu had just walked down the arena. Before the others could go up, Yi Liangchen flew up the arena at an extremely fast speed. His face was filled with arrogance as he scanned the crowd and said loudly. Chapter 1482. Everyone was stunned for a moment. According to the unwritten rules of the 100 Academies tournament, only after the geniuses from the 8 academies had finished their challenges would the others go up to the stage to accept their challenges. This was not only out of respect for the 8 academies, but also to avoid encountering the geniuses from the 8 academies. After all, after advancing to the next round, they would naturally not be a challenger anymore. No one expected that Yi Liangchen would step onto the stage right after Shirbufan, Yuan Fei, Jin Xianzong, and Duan Xuelu left the stage. Ji Yuanlong, who was about to step onto the stage, had a dark expression on his face. He thought that other than the 4 geniuses, he was the strongest. He did not expect Yi Liangchen to intercept him halfway. Long Outyin, you're really courting death. Ji Yuanlong looked deeply at Ling Xiao, and the killing intent in his eyes seemed to have materialized. He did not believe that Yi Liangchen would stand up for him. He was sure that Long Outyin was the one who ordered Yi Liangchen to do so. Yi Liangchen's hatred for Long Outyin increased. Yi Liangchen? Who is this guy? He doesn't know the rules at all. He's so ugly. I've never seen such an ugly guy before. How dare he come out to meet others with such an appearance? Didn't you see his cultivation level? Late-stage heavenly god. What a joke. How dare he challenge someone with such a cultivation level? If not for Long Outyin and Tiangang protecting him, he would have been eliminated long ago. What a reckless fool. I hope he can get me. Let me teach this bastard a lesson. Everyone looked at Yi Liangchen on the stage and mocked him. Their eyes were filled with disdain. Junior brother Long, do you think junior brother Yi can really get a spot? Tiangang's eyes flashed as he slowly asked Ling Xiao. After all, Tiangang had never seen Yi Liangchen in action before, and did not know how strange Yi Liangchen was. Although Ling Xiao was full of hope for him, Tiangang still had doubts in his heart. Eldest senior brother, don't worry. He will definitely advance to the third round. Who knows, maybe the 5 challengers will all be disciples of our Ares College. This guy's luck is very good. Ling Xiao smiled and made a joke. The 5 challengers will all be disciples of our Ares College? How can it be so easy? Tiangang shook his head. Yi Liangchen's first challenger, Ares College's Min Ro. At this moment, the principal of the Great Zhou Academy announced Yi Liangchen's first challenger. Tiangang and Ling Xiao were both slightly stunned as they exchanged glances. Their eyes were filled with incomparably strange expressions. Isn't this too much of a coincidence? What a lucky bastard. Ji Yuanlong coldly snorted. No one had expected that Yi Liangchen's first opponent would be from Ares College. There was no need for them to fight. Min Ro would definitely admit defeat. There was no rule in the academy tournament that stated that no one was allowed to admit defeat, and that they had to fight to the death. Min Ro was also stunned for a moment. A faint smile appeared at the corner of her mouth as she leaped onto the arena. Her white robes fluttered in the wind, and her features were picturesque. Her entire being exuded an elegant and gentle temperament, as if she had walked out of a painting. She was elegant and refined, instantly causing many people's eyes to light up. Junior brother Yi, your luck is really good. Min Ro smiled faintly at Yi Liangchen. Yi Liangchen incomparably proudly said, Of course. Otherwise, how could I have met such a gentle and beautiful senior Min Ro? Senior sister, why don't we exchange a few blows? You're the only one with a sweet mouth. Forget it. Senior sister can't be bothered to exchange blows with a demon like you. I admit defeat. Min Ro covered her mouth as she lightly laughed. Then, she floated away from the arena, leaving behind only a fragrant wind. The first round, Yi Liangchen wins. An elder from the Spacetime Academy, who was also the referee for the second round, could only helplessly announce. Everyone was speechless. Yi Liangchen's second challenger, Ares College's Lu Zhengfeng, the principal of the Imperial Academy, Lu Shuling, announced. Another disciple from Ares College. This time, everyone was completely stunned. What kind of luck did Yi Liangchen have today? Even Tong Yuan and Han Li looked at each other, and couldn't help but smile bitterly. Naturally, Lu Zhengfeng also admitted defeat after entering the arena. However, what shocked everyone was yet to come. Yi Liangchen's third challenger, Ares College's Wang Lin. Yi Liangchen's fourth challenger, Ares College's Xian Wang. Yi Liangchen's fifth challenger, Ares College's Long Outyin. Sky Sword Academy's principal, Jianchen Spacetime Academy's principal, Shi Tianfang, and Heavenly Curse Academy's principal, Sima Bo, announced one after another. Boom. Everyone was in an uproar. This is impossible. They must have cheated. How could Yi Liangchen's 5 challengers all be from Ares College? I don't believe it. I don't believe it either. The first was luck. The second was also luck. Damn it, the third, fourth, and fifth challengers are all from Ares College. Who are you trying to fool? We request for a new challenger for Yi Liangchen. I'll be the first to sign up. Damn it, count me in too. I want to beat the shit out of Yi Liangchen. Everyone was agitated, and they were completely enraged. They naturally didn't believe that Yi Liangchen's 5 challengers were all from Ares College. How could there be such a coincidence? Someone must have done something. Many of the geniuses were agitated, and their voices resounded through the sky. It was as if they would go berserk if the 8 colleges didn't give them an explanation. Ji Yuanlong, Guanchun, and the others' faces were extremely ugly, but they didn't dare to say anything. After all, the 5 challengers were randomly selected by the 5 college deans. It was impossible for them to cheat. Yi Liangchen didn't have the power to make the 5 college deans cheat for him at the same time. However, many of the contestants were unwilling to believe it. At this moment, they were all controlled by anger. This should be a coincidence. Shi Tianfeng, Sima Bo, Ji Guyuan, Lu Shuiling, and Jianchen had strange looks in their eyes. They had personally selected the challengers, so they naturally knew that it was impossible for them to cheat. However, no matter how they looked at it, there was something strange about it. As for the person involved, Yi Liangchen, he was standing on the stage calmly. His face was full of arrogance and pride, which angered the crowd even more. This bastard. He's playing big this time. Ling Xiao laughed bitterly and rubbed the space between his eyebrows as if he had a headache. He already knew that Yi Liangchen had the saint physique of misfortune. However, wasn't the saint physique of misfortune supposed to bring misfortune to others? This brat was good. Not only did he bring misfortune to others, but he also brought good luck to himself. If it wasn't Yi Liangchen's own will, he wouldn't believe it even if he was beaten to death. Junior Long, what do you mean by playing big? Is this really a coincidence? Junior brother Ye's luck is really too damn good. Chapter 1483. Yeah, I didn't expect that either. Ling Xiao said in a perfunctory manner. Silence. At this moment, an old but clear voice exploded in the air, instantly drowning out the clamor of the crowd. Shi Tianfeng stood in the air, exuding a vast and majestic aura. It was like the might of the heavens, instantly causing everyone's hearts to tremble. They could not help but calm down and raise their heads to look at Shi Tianfeng. Everyone, I can guarantee that. No one cheated because it is impossible for anyone to cheat. Do you think that Yi Liangchen could bribe me, Dean Sima, Dean Ji, Dean Jian, and Dean Lu? This is a coincidence. You can only think that Yi Liangchen was lucky. If anyone doubts this, it means that you are doubting the 5 of us. Shi Tianfeng's resplendent gaze fell upon the crowd. His entire being exuded a formless majesty and aura. Everyone's heart skipped a beat, but they gradually calmed down. Shi Tianfeng was right. It was impossible for Yi Liangchen to bribe all 5 of them at the same time. After all, the 5 of them belonged to 2 different factions. How could they cheat for Yi Liangchen? Even so, many of them were still criticizing Yi Liangchen. They were even more convinced that Yi Liangchen was just too lucky. However, since Yi Liangchen had made it to the 3rd round, everyone saw a glimmer of hope. They started to get ready to accept the challenges. The 6th challenger was Ji Yuanlong. He could not wait any longer. His 5 challengers were all god kings. However, Ji Yuanlong was extremely strong. He had already cultivated the divine firmament Dragon King transformation to the perfected stage. His entire body had transformed into a purple divine dragon. He moved freely in the void with unparalleled power. In the end, he defeated all 5 challengers. Next, Qing Lian from the Imperial Academy and Jian Wangsun from the Sky Sword Academy also defeated 5 challengers and advanced to the next round. After Qing Lian and Jian Wangsun, Tian Gang also chose to accept the challenge. His luck was pretty good. Out of the 5 challengers, 3 of them were Great Circle Heavenly Gods and 2 of them were Divine Kings. However, Tian Gang had already displayed his strength in the first round. Hence, the 5 challengers all chose to admit defeat after exchanging a few blows with him. Out of the 20 spots, 9 of them were taken. Let me do it. Zhou Daoji smiled and walked up to the stage. He was at the early Divine King realm. His great wilderness sword Dao was unparalleled, and his speed was extremely fast. With just a quick sword, he defeated 5 challengers and obtained the 10th slot. Shi Tianfeng and the other experts from the Spacetime Academy had ugly expressions on their faces. The Spacetime College had always been neutral. The only reason they had a grudge against the Ares College was because of the Great Wilderness Sword Dao. Legend had it that Ares College originally only had 8 absolute arts, and the Great Desolate Sword Art was created by a senior ancestor of Ares College. He had won a battle with an expert from the College of Spacetime, and then obtained the opportunity to comprehend the secret techniques of spacetime. It was an absolute art that he had comprehended from the secret techniques of spacetime. Later on, that founder used the great wilderness sword Tao as a foundation and comprehended the peerless heavenly desolation earthly art. He relied on this art to roam the god realm unhindered and became famous for a period of time. The disciples of the Spacetime College knew about the history of the Great Baron sword art, so they were not happy to see Zhou Daoji use it. Seeing that Ares College had already obtained 3 places to advance to the 3rd round, the other colleges could not sit still any longer. Everyone's eyes were filled with solemnity. After all, they had all seen Ling Xiao's strength. He would definitely be able to obtain a slot. Out of the 20 slots, Ares College had obtained at least 4. One had to know that in the previous tournament of the 100 schools, Ares College could not even enter the top 10. Could it be that this year, Ares College was going to rise? The ranking was not the most important thing, but the slots to enter the Void Saint World were. Once one entered the Void Saint World and comprehended the true meaning of the divine path, he would immediately become a true disciple and be accepted into the sect. They could not let the disciples of Ares College obtain a slot to enter the Void Saint World. Shi Tianfeng, Sima Bo, and the principal of the 5 Elements College, Zhu Gaming, looked at each other with a strange look in their eyes. Brother Long, I'm going. Xian Wang looked at Ling Xiao and said, Be careful. Ling Xiao smiled slightly. Speaking of which, he was very curious about Xian Wang's strength. He had always felt that Xian Wang was hiding some secrets. Perhaps she could give him a surprise. Seeing that another disciple from Ares College had appeared, everyone's eyes fell on Xian Wang. Xian Wang's clothes fluttered in the wind. She was magnificent and had an extraordinary temperament. Her entire person exuded a kind of ethereal and clear realm, incomparably mysterious and ethereal. Although Wang Lin and Min Ro were also considered extremely beautiful women, Xian Wang's temperament was still better. She instantly attracted everyone's attention. There are so many beauties in Ares College. This Miss Xian Wang is really my goddess. It would be great if I could get close to her. Stop dreaming. However, Xian Wang's cultivation is only at the great circle of the heavenly god realm. I'm afraid it will be difficult for her to advance to the 3rd round. Regardless of whether she can advance or not, I like her. Many of the geniuses discussed fervently, their eyes filled with passion. Xian Wang's first challenger, Guanchen from the Heavenly Curse College. Sima Bo announced Xian Wang's first challenger. It's actually Guanchen? I heard that his talent isn't below Yuan Fei's. He's a genius second only to Yuan Fei in the Heavenly Curse College. He actually became Xian Wang's first challenger. It seems like Xian Wang is going to lose. Everyone's eyes widened in shock, revealing a trace of pity. Within the Heavenly Curse College, a youth in a green robe, looking very arrogant. His eyes were incomparably cold, and the corner of his mouth had a trace of a cruel smile. He instantly leaped onto the stage. He was an early-stage divine king, and his incantation techniques had reached perfection. He was incomparably powerful. Guanchen's reputation was also very well known. In the few private exchanges before the Academy tournament, many divine king experts had been defeated by him. Senior brother, it seems like this girl called Xian Wang is going to lose. That's right. She's definitely not junior brother Guan's match. A few early-stage divine king disciples from the Heavenly Curse College sneered coldly. If she's an early-stage divine king, she might be able to fight Guanchen. But the difference in their cultivation is too great. Yuan Fei said indifferently as he looked at the 2 people on the stage. Xian Wang, please enlighten me. Chapter 1484. You're called Xian Wang, right? You're no match for me. It's not too late for you to admit defeat now. Otherwise, I'm afraid I won't be able to control myself once we fight. Guanchen stood with his hands behind his back and said arrogantly. Xian Wang frowned slightly and said, We'll know whether I'm your match or not after we fight. I don't have time to waste with you. Guanchen's eyes turned cold as he sneered. Since you don't know what's good for you, I'll fulfill your wish. Whoosh. Guanchen's body flashed with green light as he instantly turned into a green divine light. He threw a punch at Xian Wang at an extremely fast speed. The green divine light surged as Guan Chen's aura was very ethereal and unpredictable. He instantly appeared in front of Xian Wang. Bang! Xian Wang's eyes flashed as the clear sound of a sword rang out in her hand. Instantly, a sword light soared into the sky and shot towards Guan Chen's forehead. This sword attack was launched later but arrived first. It had a mysterious concept of time flowing and endlessly growing. The sword was like a dragon as it wrapped around Guan Chen. The Great Wilderness Sword Principle. Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. He saw that Xian Wang had cultivated the Great Wilderness Sword Principle to the Great Wilderness realm. This sword attack could be said to be exquisite. The sword light split and became extremely bright. Guan Chen's fist was instantly shattered. His entire body was also sliced into dozens of pieces by the sword light and disappeared into the void. Xian Wang's eyes moved. The Guan Chen in front of her was not his real body. Guan Chen's real body had appeared behind Xian Wang without any aura being released. Break! Guan Chen's eyes were cold as a mysterious rune floated up from his palm. It carried a great destructive power as it pressed towards Xian Wang's back. Xian Wang sensed the danger behind her, but it was too late to block it. A mysterious chaotic aura rose from her body and enveloped her entire body. Boom! Guan Chen's destructive rune was incomparably mysterious. It was the great destruction curse that he cultivated. It could communicate with the power of the laws of heaven and earth and destroy everything. It instantly collided with the endless chaotic aura and turned everything into nothingness. It pressed heavily on Xian Wang's back. Crack! Behind King Xian, a mysterious barrier seemed to break open. She turned into a stream of light and flew forward, using Guan Chen's power to pull away from him. You've already cultivated the transmutation unity law to the Great Circle? Tiangang's eyes flashed as he asked in surprise. This junior sister Xian Wang was very talented. In the blink of an eye, she had already displayed the large success stage of the Great Wilderness Sword Dao and the perfect stage of the Chaotic Unity Law. If it wasn't for the complete mixed Yuan Unity Qi, Xian Wang wouldn't have been able to block Guan Chen's Great Destruction Curse. Kill! Guan Chen's gaze was incomparably cold. When King Xian rushed forward, he also flew over. Ancient runes rose from his palm, forming a huge millstone with intertwining black and white light above his head. That millstone spun slowly, as if it was going to destroy the world. A mysterious aura that seemed to be able to shatter the world, as if the world was going to shatter and the world was going to be destroyed. Guan Chen stepped into the sky, and the black and white millstone shone brightly, crushing towards King Xian Wang. It was as if the laws of heaven were crushing towards King Xian Wang at the same time, making it impossible for her to dodge. She could only take it head-on. Clang! King Xian Wang opened her eyes, and it was as if a sword qi that could split heaven and earth was released from her eyes. It was extremely bright. The ancient sword in her hand shone with millions of rays of light, and it slashed towards the black and white millstone. Moreover, a vast world seemed to appear behind King Xian Wang. There were countless gods and demons roaring, terrifying wind and thunder raging, and powerful divine beasts fighting. Boom! The terrifying sword light landed on the black and white millstone, and a blazing storm of divine light swept out in all directions. However, the black and white millstone was incomparably terrifying. It actually destroyed all the sword light, and it continued to crush towards King Xian Wang. Once the great millstone of the heavens appears, so what if it's the Great Wilderness Sword Dao? It's bound to lose. A disciple from the Heavenly Curse Academy sneered. He was full of confidence in Guan Chen. The Great Destruction Curse was one of the most powerful curse arts in the Heavenly Curse Academy. It was said that when cultivated to the peak, it could destroy the heavens and 10,000 worlds. It was extremely terrifying. Although Guan Chen had not reached that level, he was able to cultivate the Great Millstone of the Heavens, which meant that he was already in an invincible position. Unless King Xian Wang could destroy the Great Millstone of the Heavens, she would not be able to hurt Guan Chen at all. Guan Chen also felt the threat of King Xian Wang's Great Wilderness Sword Dao, so he immediately used the Great Destruction Curse and summoned the Great Millstone of the Heavens. Rumble! In the void, the ancient black and white millstone of the heavens shattered the endless sword light, and it collided with King Xian Wang's ancient sword, sending her flying. The great millstone of the heavens is too terrifying. Will junior sister Xian Wang be all right? Both Wang Lin and Min Ro looked worried. Don't worry. She'll be fine, Ling Xiao said calmly, and a strange light flashed in his eyes. He could feel that the mysterious power in King Xian Wang's body had begun to awaken. Boom! King Xian stood in the void, and her white robe and black hair fluttered in the wind. When she opened her eyes, it was as though there was a light that could split the heavens and earth. She exuded an unimaginable elegance and majesty. Swoosh! Two mysterious lights shot out from her eyes, and they were surrounded by endless chaotic aura. They instantly turned into a heavenly river of sword chi, and they slashed down on the great millstone of the heavens. This sword strike was terrifying to the extreme, causing everyone to involuntarily tremble. Their eyes revealed a trace of disbelief. This is the power of the Holy Way. Shi Tianfeng's eyes were filled with shock. He had already taken that step and became a sage-to-be before anyone else. Naturally, he could feel the terror of King Xian Wang's sword. It was the sword of the Holy Way, and the power contained in the sword shocked Shi Tianfeng. Crack! The great millstone of the heavens shook violently, and countless runes exploded. Rays of divine light were destroyed, and they exploded into dust in the void. Guanchen trembled, and his face turned pale. He spat out a mouthful of blood. How is this possible? His eyes were filled with disbelief as he stared at King Xian Wang. However, he did not dare to move, because the mysterious sword light was still hovering above his head after destroying the great millstone of the heavens. Chapter 1485. You've lost, Xian Wang said calmly, her eyes shining brightly. I've lost. Guanchen gritted his teeth and looked at Xian Wang deeply. Then he leaped off the stage. However, King Xian's sword strike was deeply imprinted in everyone's hearts, causing them to feel incomparably shocked. Another disciple from Ares College had successfully advanced to the third round. Everyone's eyes fell on Ling Xiao. If Ling Xiao was included, there would be 5 of them. Even the deans from the other colleges could not remain calm. How did Ares College produce so many exceptional geniuses this time? It was one thing for Tiangang and Long Outyin to appear. But now, they suddenly realized that Xian Wang had comprehended the Saint Dao true intent at the great circle of the heavenly god realm. This kind of peerless talent was too dazzling. He was not weaker than the 4 peerless geniuses. After the battle between Xian Wang and Guanchen, no one dared to underestimate Xian Wang. Some even guessed that Xian Wang might be the strongest in Ares College. After all, her sword was too stunning. The next 4 challengers were naturally defeated by the Xian King without a doubt. They didn't even fight before they admitted defeat. Xian Wang had obtained the 11th slot. Everyone's eyes fell on Ling Xiao, but she did not choose to make a move. Next, the Divine King Realm disciples from the other 8 colleges went up the stage to fight for a spot in the third round. But how could it be so easy to win all 5 battles? Moreover, their strengths were similar, so the battles were intense. A total of 10 people went up the stage, but in the end, only 2 managed to advance to the third round. One was Luogang from Vajra College, and the other was Guanchen from Heavenly Curse College. Guanchen's great millstone was too strong. Although it was broken by Xian Wang, the others could not withstand it at all. So the 5 challengers were all defeated by him. Ares College's Wang Lin, Minro Lu Jingfeng, Deng Gongjue, and Lu Huan also made a move. Unfortunately, although they were strong, their leader was a great circle of the heavenly god realm. Only Wang Lin was lucky. All 5 challengers were great circle of the heavenly god realm, so she managed to advance. The other 4 were all eliminated. Wang Lin obtained the 14th slot. The look in everyone's eyes changed. Ares College had already obtained 5 slots. On the other hand, other than the Heavenly Curse College, which had obtained 2 slots, the rest of the colleges only had 1 person each. The deans' faces were all gloomy, and their expressions were ugly. On the other hand, Tong Yuan and Han Li were grinning from ear to ear. Their faces were blooming with smiles. Ares College's Long Outyin, please enlighten me. Ling Xiao ascended the stage. Although 3 of his 5 challengers were god kings, they were unable to endure the terrifying strength of his body at all. They all admitted defeat. Ling Xiao obtained the 15th spot. What's up with Aries College this year? There are actually 6 people who have advanced to the 3rd round. This is too unbelievable, isn't it? Sigh, we originally thought that Aries College would make the same mistake as before. Who would have thought that they would amaze the world with a single brilliant feat? So what if you've entered the 3rd round? Maybe none of the 6 of them will make it into the top 10. That shouldn't be the case. However, I'm still most concerned about the bet between Long Outyin and the Heavenly Curse College. I wonder if he can create a miracle and obtain the top spot. Everyone was discussing animatedly, their eyes filled with anticipation. The final 5 slots were quickly decided. The God King Realm disciple from the Imperial College, Bai Xiao, obtained 1 slot. The God King Realm disciple from the 5 Elements College, Wuxia, obtained another. The God King Realm disciple from the Spacetime College, Zhuge Xian, obtained another slot. The remaining 2 slots were obtained by 2 ordinary students. In the end, out of the 20 slots, 16 of them were from the 8 major colleges, while the remaining 4 were ordinary students. Overlord, Sky Sword, and the 3 deans of the Great Zhou College all had ugly expressions. This was because only King Kong, Jian Wangsun, and Ji Yuanlong had advanced to the 3rd round. However, 6 people from Aries College had successfully advanced, which left them with a bitter taste in their mouths. However, the first 2 rounds were not the main point. The main point was the 3rd round. This was because the 3rd round of the Astral Tournament concerned the 10 slots to enter the Void Saint Realm. This was an opportunity that everyone would fight for, as it represented an irresistible opportunity to become a saint. Thus, regardless of whether they were from the 8 major colleges or ordinary students, all 20 of them revealed a strong fighting spirit in their eyes. The 3rd round was very fair, as everyone would fight each other for a total of 19 rounds. Every victory would earn 1 point, and the final ranking would be determined based on the number of points one had. If they met someone with the same number of points, they would have to fight another round to determine the ranking. In short, there was no way to use tricks in the 3rd round. One had to rely on true strength to obtain victory. If one wanted to obtain the top spot, they would have to defeat everyone and sweep through the entire field to obtain the final victory. As for the other 80 people, they would have to fight each other in the arena to determine their ranking. Then they would be rewarded accordingly. However, almost everyone's attention was attracted by the figures of these 20 people. Will Shi Bufan, Yuan Fei, Jin Xianzong, and Duan Shuilu obtain the top spot? Or will Tiangang, Long Outyin, or Xianwang obtain the top spot? I'm really looking forward to it. I feel that my goddess, Xianwang, also has a good chance. After all, she's the first person to comprehend the true meaning of the Holy Path. I just don't know if the other 4 geniuses have comprehended the true meaning of the Holy Path. Everyone's eyes were filled with anticipation. Because they had witnessed Tiangang and Xianwang's powerful battle prowess, they had also placed Long Outyin and Long Outyin in the 2nd tier, second only to the 4 geniuses. They definitely had the battle prowess to enter the top 10, but no one knew who would obtain the top spot. This was because the position of the champion not only represented supreme glory, but also unimaginable benefits even if one entered the void sacred world. Let us congratulate these 20 genius disciples for successfully advancing to the 3rd round. Next is the most anticipated and most exciting moment for everyone, because we will be holding the 3rd round of the competition. The number of matches and the number of participants will be randomly selected by us. Shi Tianfang said to the crowd in a clear voice. His voice was clearly transmitted to everyone's ears. Next is the first match. Ji Yuanlong from the Great Zhou Academy versus Long Outyin from the Aries Academy. Chapter 1486. No one had expected that the first match would be between Long Outyin and Ji Yuanlong. Everyone had witnessed Long Outyin's strength. His physical body was unparalleled, and his strength was extraordinary. Even an early-stage divine king could not withstand a single punch from him. Some even thought that he might be able to defeat the 4 peerless geniuses. Ji Yuanlong was also very strong. His divine firmament Dragon King transformation had already been cultivated to perfection. His attacks were unparalleled, and he was also very famous among the crowd, especially after the incident of Ji Yuanlong kneeling and apologizing to Ling Xiao in the mythical space was exposed. Ji Yuanlong took it as a great humiliation. It also made everyone look forward to the battle between Ling Xiao and Ji Yuanlong even more. Who do you think will win between Long Outyan and Ji Yuanlong? It should be Long Outyan, right? His physical strength is too terrifying. Even a divine king can't withstand it. That's not necessarily true. I heard that Ji Yuanlong is also very strong. He is also one realm higher than Long Outyan. It should be 50-50. Hee, I'm really looking forward to it. Will Ji Yuanlong avenge his previous humiliation? Or will Long Outyan suppress Ji Yuanlong once again? Everyone's eyes were filled with incomparable anticipation. Ling Xiao's eyes flashed. He did not expect to meet Ji Yuanlong in the first match. However, he did not say anything and instantly leaped into the arena. Ji Yuanlong's eyes were filled with coldness. He stared at Ling Xiao and said, Long Outyan, today I will completely defeat you and make you kneel before me. Dream on. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. He could feel that Ji Yuanlong was hiding a powerful force. Perhaps that was his trump card. However, the current Ji Yuanlong was no threat to Ling Xiao at all. It could be said that after Ling Xiao's indestructible battle body and divine dragon body had reached perfection, his physical body alone could suppress a divine king expert. He could be said to be invincible among his peers. Your physical body is very strong. But today, I will shatter your tortoise shell. Ji Yuanlong's eyes were filled with hatred as he stared fixedly at Ling Xiao. In the God-Devil space, he and Ji Jun had knelt down and apologized to Ling Xiao together. Every time he thought about it, he almost went crazy. Ling Xiao had even become an obsession in his heart. If he could not kill Ling Xiao, he was afraid that he would not be able to take a peek at the Saint Realm. Rumble. Ji Yuanlong's body exuded an incomparably terrifying aura. Rays of purple light lingered around him, causing his skin to emit a faint purple color. His entire being appeared dignified and mysterious. An ancient dragon's roar resounded, shaking the heavens. Ji Yuanlong punched out, and suddenly, a purple lightning dragon swept across the void, and suddenly pounced towards Ling Xiao. That purple lightning dragon was vivid and lifelike. It exuded an incomparably terrifying aura, enveloping the entire area. The dragon transformation. Ji Yuanlong used his strongest martial art right from the start. With the help of the purple lightning dragon, his aura skyrocketed, reaching the mid-divine king realm in an instant. Qi. Ling. Ao. Kacha. The void trembled, and the same clear dragon roar sounded. A golden dragon rose from Ling Xiao's fist and pounced forward. But this fist was purely physical strength. Even the golden dragon was condensed from Ling Xiao's blood. It roared in the void and shook the heavens. Rumble. The purple lightning dragon and the golden dragon collided in the void. The huge mountains around Ling Xiao and Ji Yuanlong instantly exploded. Heaven and earth trembled, and divine light gushed out. It was an extremely shocking scene. Everyone could see that the purple lightning dragon instantly exploded, turning into streaks of lightning that filled the void. Ling Xiao's aura changed drastically. He was like an indestructible dragon god, moving unhindered. Wrapped in a monstrous fist, he continued to attack Ji Yuanlong. Boom. Purple light filled Ji Yuanlong's eyes. The shattered lightning dragon did not disappear. Instead, it transformed into resplendent runes that intertwined with each other, instantly forming an incomparably vast lightning world. Streaks of purple divine lightning descended from the 9 heavens. In the sea of lightning, lightning flashed across the sky, turning into purple lightning dragons. It was as if 10,000 dragons had appeared together. It was terrifying to the extreme. It was as if they wanted to completely annihilate Ling Xiao. Ji Yuanlong used the power of the divine firmament dragon transformation to form a lightning domain, mobilizing the lightning laws of this world. That aura was extremely terrifying, causing the gazes of the spectators to turn solemn. They felt that even if a god king were to enter the lightning domain, he would be instantly killed. Kacha. Streaks of lightning landed on Ling Xiao's body, instantly drowning him. Although Long Outyan's physical body is strong, I'm afraid he can't withstand such a terrifying lightning domain, right? A trace of uncertainty appeared in everyone's hearts. The divine firmament dragon transformation was too powerful. Together with the Lightning King divine art, it was known as one of the strongest lightning martial arts. When the two were combined, it was the supreme lightning emperor art of the 9-layered imperial gate. First senior brother, can Long Outyan win? Asked Guan Chun as he stared coldly at the platform. It's hard to say. The divine firmament dragon transformation is very strong, and Ji Yuanlong has an even more terrifying power. Silver divine light flashed in Yuan Fei's eyes. It was mysterious and majestic, as if he could see through the power in Ji Yuanlong's body. Rumble. Lightning exploded all over the sky, as if a golden sun had risen from the sea. Ling Zhao's figure instantly soared into the sky, bathed in purple lightning. His skin was crystal clear, and there was not a single injury. Bang! He punched out, and instantly, a few lightning bolts as thick as mountains exploded. Roar! A roar like that of an ancient divine beast came from Ling Zhao's mouth. The wind and clouds surged and the sky changed color. In the next moment, everyone was completely shocked. They saw Ling Zhao open his mouth, and instantly, a black vortex appeared in the void. The lightning bolts in the sky were sucked into Ling Zhao's stomach, like a whale swallowing the sea. Ha ha! Awesome! Ji Yuanlong, is that all you have? Ling Zhao laughed loudly. His eyes were dazzling, and his entire body exuded an unruly aura. Ling Zhao cultivated the 5 Thunder Heavenly Spirit technique, and had also obtained the Lightning Emperor Art's legacy. His understanding of lightning laws had already reached an extremely high level. In addition, his sky-devouring secret technique could refine everything. A mere thunder domain couldn't do any harm to him at all. Instead, it was devoured cleanly by him like a whale swallowing the sea. This allowed his physical strength to improve slightly. Bastard! Since you want to devour, I'll let you have your fill. Ji Yuanlong's face was ashen, and his eyes were filled with cold killing intent. Rumble. Chapter 1487. Heaven and earth shook, and the mountains rumbled. Ji Yuanlong seemed to have transformed into the ancient Thunder King. His aura was overwhelming. The sea of lightning in the sky exuded a powerful destructive aura. Even the godly kings felt a chill run down their spines. There was a fatal danger. This is the Divine Firmament Dragon King transformation and the Thunder King divine art. I didn't expect first senior brother to combine the Divine Firmament Dragon King transformation and the Thunder King divine art. Long Outyan is dead for sure. Several of the Great Zhou Academy's disciples cheered as their eyes were filled with incomparable excitement. The combination of the Divine Firmament Dragon King transformation and the Thunder King divine art is the first step of the Thunder Emperor technique. With the Thunder Emperor technique's power, no one can stop Ji Yuanlong. Kill Long Outyan, you must kill him. Ji Jun also stared at Ling Zhao with deep hatred in his eyes. Although he was sitting in the sky, he could feel that the deans and elders around him were looking at him with disdain and curiosity. He was about to go crazy. He knew that this was the humiliation that Long Outyan had brought to him. Kneeling and apologizing to Long Outyan was a humiliation that he would never be able to erase in his life. He had to use Long Outyan's life and blood to wash away this humiliation. Ha! Ling Zhao's eyes flashed. That vast sea of lightning was indeed very powerful. Ling Zhao even felt a very familiar power from it. The power of the Lightning King? No, it's just the embryonic form. Ling Zhao thought to himself. The 9-layered Imperial Gate's Thunder Emperor technique could cultivate the power of the Lightning King. However, Ji Yuanlong was also considered a genius. The combination of the Divine Firmament Dragon King transformation and the Thunder King divine art had already formed the embryonic form of the Lightning King's power. That was why the Lightning King's shadow had such terrifying power. Boom. The vital blood in Ling Zhao's body boiled as he punched out. His fist was ancient and powerful, and it contained a vast force of the heavens and the earth. Ling Zhao had cultivated quite a few fist techniques. For example, his self-created 7 Limits Divine Technique, Great Void Imperial Fist, and 9 transformations of dragon and snake were all fist techniques. However, Ling Xiao did not want others to know the origins of these martial arts. Furthermore, as his physical body became stronger and stronger, he had a feeling of mastery through a comprehensive study of the martial arts. He was on the verge of creating his own unique fist technique. Therefore, although each of his punches looked very simple and crude, and were only bursts of physical strength, they contained countless variations of several kinds of martial arts, and were incomparably profound. The golden fist flew across the sky like a great sun, instantly colliding with the Thunder King's illusory figure, causing the surrounding sky to tremble violently. Ji Yuanlong blocked Ling Xiao's punch, and Zhou Tian's lightning struck towards Ling Xiao at the same time. Whoosh! Ling Xiao weaved through the sea of lightning and struck the 9 heavens, clashing violently with the phantom of the Thunder King. In an instant, they had exchanged over 100 blows. Every blow was like the beating of a heavenly drum, causing the surrounding sky to tremble violently. The terrifying sound waves even caused the blood and qi of the spectators to react. Every time Ling Xiao breathed, he would devour the surrounding lightning. His skin crackled as it grew brighter and brighter. Kacha! Another violent collision occurred, and Ling Xiao's fist directly blasted the Thunder King's phantom apart. After that, he opened his mouth wide, and the vast amount of lightning instantly rushed into Ling Xiao's mouth, swallowed and refined by him. Ji Yuanlong's body shook violently, and he could not help but be sent flying. His blood and qi surged, and his face became incomparably ugly. Damn it! How can he be so strong? Ji Yuanlong's eyes were filled with disbelief. One must know that in the mythical space, Ling Xiao's cultivation was also at the complete heavenly god realm. At that time, Ji Yuanlong could still fight him, but now that Ji Yuanlong had broken through to the early divine king realm, he actually felt that he was not Ling Xiao's opponent. This feeling made him feel extremely uncomfortable. Ling Xiao's cultivation did not break through, but his strength had become even more terrifying. I can't lose. I must defeat you. Ji Yuanlong roared madly in his heart, and a trace of madness appeared in his eyes. Whoosh! He soared through the sky, and with a flash of light, a resplendent ancient sword appeared in his hand. Although it was only a godly monarch artifact, it was extraordinarily sharp. The Academy tournament prohibited Sage Dao treasures for the sake of fairness. Therefore, the strongest treasure that everyone could take out was only a godly monarch artifact. The wind and clouds behind Ji Yuanlong surged, and divine light rose. Rays of sword light became incomparably blazing. The ancient sword in his hand carried a vast sword aura as it slashed through the sky toward Ling Xiao. This sword was extremely fast and incomparably sharp. When Ji Yuanlong's sword slashed down, it was as if heaven and earth were drowned by the sharp sword aura, and it was aimed at Ling Xiao's vital points. The Zhou Tian's divine sword? It's a pity that it's only comparable to the divine firmament dragon king transformation. Looks like he's going to lose. Jin Xianzong's eyes flashed as he spoke slowly. The Zhou Tian's divine sword was also one of the Zhou Tian Academy's ultimate techniques. However, in Jin Xianzong's opinion, this ultimate technique was enough to deal with ordinary people, but not Ling Xiao. No, this isn't just de Zhou Tian's divine sword. Yuan Fei's silver eyes flashed with a strange light. Rumble. Another change took place in the arena. Within that vast sword light, there seemed to be an incomparably mysterious shadow that appeared. It contained a vast and ancient power that suppressed everything and was unparalleled. It was as if a mysterious lightning bolt had shot from the ancient sword directly toward Ling Xiao's forehead. This change was too sudden, and it was so sudden that no one could react at all. The power of the Lightning Emperor. Bastards, you actually let him cultivate the Lightning Emperor technique, and even imbued him with the power of the Lightning Emperor? Tong Yuan's expression instantly changed as he glared at Ji Guyuan and Ji Jundao. Shameless. If anything happens to Long Outyin, Ji Yuanlong will also be buried with him. Hanli was both shocked and furious as he loudly roared. That was the Lightning Emperor technique, the supreme sacred technique of the 9-layered imperial obelisk. If Ji Yuanlong had cultivated the Lightning Emperor technique, he probably wouldn't have been able to unleash the power of the Lightning Emperor technique. However, The power of the Lightning Emperor in Ji Yuanlong's body was obviously not cultivated by himself. Someone had imbued it into his body, which was equivalent to cheating. When the power of the Lightning Emperor exploded, it was equivalent to the power of the sacred path. Could Ling Xiao really withstand it? Rumble. When Ji Yuanlong's sword arrived, the void violently trembled. Yi Futian struck out with his palm. The palm imprint was incomparably powerful and directly shattered the sword. The sword chi that filled the sky scattered and turned into a resplendent rain of light. However, that mysterious lightning bolt, under the cover of the sword chi, instantly arrived in front of Ling Xiao's forehead. Ling Xiao could even feel the icy cold and blazing killing intent coming from it. Lightning Emperor technique? A sharp light flashed in Ling Xiao's eyes as the corners of his mouth curled into a mocking smile. Chapter 1488. Boom. Heaven and earth seemed to have stopped at this moment. The mysterious lightning radiated millions of rays of light, and a vast world of lightning and thunder seemed to have appeared in the void. A mysterious figure, like a supreme emperor who could dominate the 9 heavens and 10 lands, looked at Ling Xiao with eyes that shone with immortal light. A mysterious eye seemed to have appeared between Ling Xiao's brows. It was golden, majestic, and mysterious. Lightning flowed through it. Vast laws of lightning surged forth, forming a mysterious vortex of light that seemed to lead to another world. Ji Yuanlong's burst of lightning was swallowed up in an instant. Boom. Ling Xiao's eyes were calm as he punched at Ji Yuanlong. Like a true dragon roaring in a storm, this punch was incomparably powerful and terrifying to the extreme. A violent whistling sound could be heard in the void. What? Ji Yuanlong's eyes changed drastically, revealing a look of disbelief. However, the dazzling fist seal had already enveloped him, and finally, it slammed into his chest. Kacha. Runes exploded one after another. Ji Yuanlong was wearing a purple soft armor. With a single glance, one could tell that it wasn't an ordinary item. Its defense was extremely strong, but under Ling Xiao's punch, it quickly shattered. Ji Yuanlong's chest also suddenly caved in. Puff! Ji Yuanlong spat out a mouthful of blood, and was instantly sent flying. The 4 sky prides were shocked. The smiles on Ji Guyuan and Ji Jun's faces froze. Tong Yuan, Han Li, and the others from the War God Temple trembled. Everyone was stunned. Ji Yuanlong made his move and used the Lightning Emperor technique. He also ignited the power of the Lightning Emperor hidden in his body, erupting with an incomparably terrifying killing power. Even the 4 sky pride's eyes were incomparably solemn. Facing this attack, they were not completely confident. This was because this was the power of the Saint Dao, the most terrifying killing power of the Lightning Emperor technique. However, what no one expected was that Ling Xiao received it and was unscathed. Many people did not even see what happened before Ji Yuanlong was sent flying by Ling Xiao's punch. Could that be the eye of the Lightning Emperor? Impossible. Long Outyin can't possibly know the Lightning Emperor technique. What kind of power is that? Huge waves surged in Ji Guyuan's heart as he stared at Ling Xiao, his eyes filled with disbelief. Although Ling Xiao had tried his best to hide it, and the strange phenomenon between his eyebrows was also withdrawn as soon as it appeared, Ji Guyuan could still see that something was wrong. Because Ji Guyuan himself cultivated the Lightning Emperor technique, he was incomparably sensitive to the eye of the Lightning Emperor. One had to be extremely compatible with the true meaning of the Thunder Emperor technique, and comprehend the origin energy of lightning in order to condense the eyes of the Thunder Emperor. However, even he himself had not been able to do it, so how could Ling Xiao have done it? Therefore, this thought only flashed in his mind for a moment before he rejected it. If the Lightning Emperor technique really landed on Ling Xiao's body, that would be a huge joke. Junior brother Long is still the best. I don't have the confidence to receive that attack from Ji Yuanlong. Tiangang sighed softly. Despicable and shameless, borrowing external strength. What kind of genius are you? The Xian King sneered. That lightning was clearly not his own power. Otherwise, Big Brother would have killed him long ago. This bastard. How will your grandfather, Yi Liangchen, teach you a lesson later? Yi Liangchen said angrily. Boom. At this moment, Ji Yuanlong rushed out from the ground. Although there was a bloody hole in his chest, and he looked extremely miserable, the madness and killing intent in his eyes were getting crazier. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. How can you withstand the power of the Lightning Emperor technique? Long Out Yin, the humiliation you brought me. I will make you pay back 100 times, 1,000 times. I will kill you. Ji Yuanlong roared madly. It seemed as if he was about to turn into a demon. His body was filled with black killing intent as he charged towards Ling Xiao. Not good. Dean, sure, we admit defeat. Ask Long Out Yin to stop. Ji Guyuan's expression changed as he quickly looked at Shi Tianfang and said. He could already see that Ji Yuanlong's current state was not right. If the battle continued, Ji Yuanlong's situation would only worsen. Even though he was extremely unwilling, he still admitted defeat. Dean Ji, the rules of the Academy tournament state that one side must admit defeat in order to end the battle. You admitting defeat for Ji Yuanlong is not in accordance with the rules. Shi Tianfang smiled faintly. He could not wait for the battle between Ling Xiao and Ji Yuanlong to continue. It would be a good thing if Aries College and Great Zhou College were at odds with each other. We admit defeat. We won't continue. Ji Jun's eyes were filled with anxiety. He leaped up and was about to fly towards the stage below. Whoosh. Han Li's figure flashed and instantly appeared in front of Ji Jun. Ji Jun, could it be that you want to disrupt the Academy tournament? Ji Yuanlong has not admitted defeat, so this battle cannot end. Han Li sneered. He had been suppressing his anger just now. Ji Yuanlong had openly cheated, so it must have been Ji Guyuan and Ji Jun's doing. However, these bastards had pretended not to know. Now that Ling Xiao's crisis had been resolved, he naturally did not want to let Ji Jun off so easily. No matter what, he had to vent his anger first. Scram. Ji Jun's gaze turned cold. The killing intent around him surged to the sky, as if he was about to attack Han Li at any moment. Ah! Ji Jun, you want to fight me? Come, come, come. If you don't dare, then you're my grandson. Han Li sneered. The blood aura around him shook like thunder. His dark golden skin contained an explosive power. He blocked Ji Jun's path like a piece of meat, not wanting to give in at all. Ji Jun was furious, but there was nothing he could do. Although he was strong, Han Li was a ruthless person who had cultivated the undying war body to the 5th level. If they really fought, he was afraid that he would not be Han Li's opponent. Rumble. Another change occurred in the stage. Ji Yuanlong attacked Ling Xiao like a madman, but Ling Xiao found an opening and kicked him in the chest. Bang. Ji Yuanlong's body trembled, as if he had been kicked by a tyrannosaurus. He was instantly sent flying into the sky. Ling Xiao's gaze was cold. He had no intention of letting Ji Yuanlong go. Instead, he leaped into the sky and grabbed Ji Yuanlong's arm like a dragon's claw. He suddenly swung Ji Yuanlong up and punched Ji Yuanlong's abdomen. Boom. Chapter 1489. I'll let you be arrogant. Ling Xiao sneered. He lifted Ji Yuanlong's arm and smashed it down on a mountain below. Boom. That towering mountain was directly smashed apart by Ji Yuanlong. Rubble flew everywhere, the earth trembled, and many towering ancient trees were turned into dust by the violent energy fluctuations. I'll let you act cool. Ling Xiao lifted Ji Yuanlong up, and his entire body emitted an incomparably violent energy. He directly rose from the ground and smashed down on another mountain. Another mountain exploded. I'll let you cheat. I'll let you be reckless. Ling Xiao seemed to be enjoying it. Every time he scolded, he would lift Ji Yuanlong up and smash a mountain. His entire person was like a human-shaped tyrannosaurus, terrifying to the extreme. Fortunately, this was the array world formed in the arena. Otherwise, the entire space-time college would have been destroyed by Ling Xiao. Everyone was frightened, and the corners of their mouths twitched. Too ruthless. Although Ji Yuanlong's cultivation was at the Divine King realm, and his body was incomparably sturdy, probably not weaker than an ordinary divine artifact, he could not withstand such torment. Ling Xiao simply did not treat Ji Yuanlong as a human. Every strike was incomparably violent, as if the god of war had swung his hammer, or the saint had destroyed Kunwu Mountain in anger. It was filled with the beauty of barbarism, violence, and strength. Bastard! Ji Jun roared, his lungs about to explode. His eyes were filled with monstrous killing intent. Ji Guyuan's gaze was also extremely cold. This was no longer a battle. This was simply a naked slaughter. Under Ling Zhao's barbaric attacks, Ji Yuanlong did not even have the chance to admit defeat. Dean, sure this battle should end, right? Ji Guyuan looked at Shi Tianfang and said coldly, "Why should it end? You're allowed to cheat, but Long Outyan is not allowed to teach him a lesson? How can there be such logic in this world? As long as Ji Yuanlong does not admit defeat, this battle is not over." Han Li sneered. The more he looked at Ling Xiao, the more he liked him. He felt that this brat's temper was too similar to his. The disciples of Ares College were supposed to be so arrogant and overbearing. Whoever did not agree with them, they should fight back. This was the style and tradition of the Ares Temple. It was unknown when it started, but from the War God Temple to Ares College, everyone had become weak. They had been avoiding and tolerating outsiders, which was why others were so arrogant. Just like Dezhou College, 1,000,000 years ago, they did not even dare to fart in front of Ares College. But now, they dared to ride on Ares College's head. Many of the Ares College's disciples also felt incomparably exhilarated. They only felt that this battle between Ling Xiao and Ji Yuanlong had released all their years of depression and suppression. Ling Xiao had used this battle to tell others that the disciples of Ares College were not to be trifled with. Boom, boom, boom. Ji Yuanlong didn't even look like a human anymore. Over 100 mountains had been destroyed by Ling Xiao, and his entire body had become a bloody mess. Roar. A clear dragon's roar rang out. Ling Xiao suddenly punched out, and a golden dragon flew through the air, violently slamming into Ji Yuanlong's body. Boom. Ji Yuanlong's physical body directly exploded into a bloody mist under this punch. I admit defeat. In the bloody mist, Ji Yuanlong's primordial spirit floated up. His eyes were filled with incomparable fear as he screamed crazily. He was completely terrified. His gaze towards Ling Xiao was filled with fear, and he no longer dared to have any thoughts of going against Ling Xiao. He could even feel that if it weren't for the fact that killing was prohibited in the arena, Ling Xiao would probably have killed him. Whoosh! Whoosh! Following Ji Yuanlong's admission of defeat, Ling Xiao and Ji Yuanlong were instantly enveloped by two bright rays of light and appeared outside the arena. Long Outyan, hand over your life. At this moment, a crazy roar rang out. Ji Jun's killing intent rose, and his divine power was vast and unparalleled. He suddenly pounced towards Ling Xiao from above the void, and a black palm print enveloped Ling Xiao. Ji Jun, you're courting death. Han Li was instantly enraged, and his eyes revealed an incomparable murderous intent. He did not expect Ji Jun to be so shameless as to personally deal with Ling Xiao. Boom. Dark golden divine light lingered around Han Li's body, and a vast amount of blood chi soared into the sky as he suddenly pounced towards Ji Jun. Ji Jun, if Long Outyan is injured in the slightest, this old man will not rest until you're dead. Tong Yuan, such a good person, was thoroughly enraged. A blazing sword light rose from behind him, and its speed was extremely fast as it intercepted Han Li's palm. The crowd was also in an uproar. No one expected Ji Jun to suddenly make a move. Kill him. You must kill him. Ji Yuanlong's eyes were filled with incomparable murderous intent. Ji Jun's cultivation was at the great perfection divine king realm, and his strength was unparalleled. Coupled with his sudden attack and the extreme distance between them, even Han Li and Tong Yuan could not stop him in time. That palm had already arrived in front of Ling Xiao. Ji Jun, you really don't know what's good for you. Ling Xiao suddenly raised his head, and his eyes revealed an incomparably cold murderous intent. Roar! Roar! Two dragon roars exploded in the void, and the blood in Ling Xiao's body boiled to the extreme. The human and dragon bloodlines seemed to have reached a perfect balance as they intertwined into mysterious runes. The power of the indestructible war body and the divine dragon body erupted. Ling Xiao punched out, and it was as if a golden sun had exploded in his body. Mysterious ripples rippled out, causing Ling Xiao's aura to soar crazily. Along with the supreme divine ability of the ancestral dragon's secret art, the violent dragon divine ability also erupted. With Ling Xiao's divine dragon body at the great perfection divine ability, the violent dragon divine ability could erupt with 64 times the power. However, that would be too shocking, and his physical body could not withstand it, so he could only erupt with 32 times the power. Boom! The fist and palm collided, and an incomparably terrifying divine light radiated in all directions. It contained a fluctuation that could destroy everything, and it was as if heaven and earth had fallen into a world of white. Not good. The faces of Shi Tianfang and the other experts from the Space-Time Academy changed drastically, and they began to frantically activate the power of the Grand Protective Mountain Array. Mysterious runes emerged from the void, and the power of Ling Xiao and Ji Jun's attack was restrained. The ground where Ling Xiao stood instantly cracked like a spider web. His white robe was whiter than snow, and his black hair fluttered in the wind. His eyes were sharp and unruly, and his entire body exuded an incomparably terrifying power. As for Ji Jun's palm, it shattered, and even Ji Jun himself was sent flying by Ling Xiao. Chapter 1490. Tong Yuan, Han Li, how dare you? In the void, Ji Jun was both shocked and furious. His eyes were filled with disbelief, but Tong Yuan and Han Li's attacks were already in front of him. Unparalleled divine light exploded, and Ji Jun groaned. It was obvious that he had suffered heavy injuries. However, no one cared about Ji Jun at this moment. Their gazes were all on Ling Xiao. Heavens, what did I just see? Long Outyan actually sent Ji Jun flying with a single punch? How is this possible? Long Outyan is only at the great circle of the heavenly god stage. How can he be so powerful? Didn't you notice? Just now, Long Outyan's body exploded with an extremely powerful force. He must have used some secret technique that consumes his origin. Everyone was completely shocked. Ji Jun was different from Ji Yuanlong. He was a veteran divine king with unparalleled strength. He was also one of the top existences in the Great Zhou Academy. Even when compared to Han Li, he was only slightly weaker. However, he wanted to kill Ling Xiao in front of everyone, but he was sent flying with a single punch from Ling Xiao. He really does have a huge secret on him. Shi Bufan stared fixedly at Ling Xiao as his gaze became increasingly heated. This child's talent is too terrifying. I'm afraid that he will be another peerless figure in the future. We have to be careful. Shi Tianfang, Sima Bo, and Zhuge Ming secretly exchanged glances. They could all see the shock in each other's eyes. To be able to beat back Ji Jun, even if Ling Xiao had used some kind of secret technique, it was already shocking enough. This could no longer be described as a genius, it could be called a monster. After all, even if it was the Academy tournament, in the eyes of these deans and elders, it was only a battle between young people. They had never thought that there would be someone standing in the same position as them. After all, they had all cultivated for countless years to reach this level. Ji Jun, you old dog, is your Great Zhou Academy really such a sore loser? You're already so old, yet you still shamelessly sneak attacked me. Do you believe that when I break through to the Divine King stage, I'll kill you like a dog? Ling Xiao's eyes were filled with cold killing intent as he stared at Ji Jun. He was completely enraged. If he was just an ordinary disciple of Ares College, he would have been seriously injured even if he did not die under Ji Jun's palm. Ji Jun's unbridled attack had completely infuriated her. Long Outyan, you're courting death. Ji Jun's voice was filled with rage. He hated Ling Xiao to the extreme, and wished he could slap Ling Xiao to death. However, he was currently blocked by Tong Yuan and Han Li, and had no way of attacking Ling Xiao. Fellow Taoists, please stop. Shi Tianfang smiled bitterly. A vast worldly law descended, and endless divine light gushed out, directly separating Tong Yuan, Han Li, and Ji Jun who were fighting. Ji Jun, on the other hand, was in a sorry state. He had been punched in the face and his clothes were tattered. His eyes were filled with anger. Dean Shi, you're the host of the Academy tournament today. Since Ji Jun dared to attack Long Outyan without permission, he must give us an explanation. The good-natured Tong Yuan was also enraged as he looked at Shi Tianfang. The Academy tournament was a tradition, and it had its own set of rules that everyone had to abide by. Attacking a competing disciple without permission like Ji Jun had done was a great taboo. Dean sure Long Outyin has already defeated Ji Yuanlong, but he still acted so viciously. He even destroyed Ji Yuanlong's body. How is such a vicious person any different from the demons? I attacked because I wanted to get rid of this pest, Ji Jun said with a gloomy expression. However, he was also secretly regretting his actions. He knew that he had been too impetuous. After all, attacking during the academy tournament was a great taboo for everyone. Unrepentant. Dean sure, according to the rules of the academy tournament, how should we deal with attacking an academy disciple without permission? Han Li's gaze turned cold as he spoke. Ji Guyuan frowned and looked at Tong Yuan. Dean Tong Long Outyin isn't injured. Why don't we drop this matter? I'm willing to compensate Ji Jun. How could he not know that if the rules of the academy tournament were followed and Ji Jun attacked an academy disciple without permission, then Ji Jun would be in for a miserable time. However, although the 8 great academies appeared to be the core of the academy tournament, they all had their own schemes in private. It would be difficult to deal with this matter according to the rules, which was why Ji Guyuan wanted to settle this matter privately. Nothing? Ji Guyuan, only you can say that. If it weren't for Long Outyin's strength, anyone else would have been heavily injured or even killed. You think compensation is enough? Why don't you let me hit Ji Jun in Long Outyin's place? Han Li sneered. Dean Tong Elder Han, we're all on the same side. Why do we have to make things so ugly? I think that Vice Dean Ji attacked in a moment of desperation. It was an unintentional mistake. Why don't we just let it go? Overlord Academy's Dean, Overlord Academy, advised. That's right. Why don't we have Vice Dean Ji compensate Long Outyin with some treasures? The academy tournament still needs to continue. We can't let others see us as a joke, right? Jianchen smiled bitterly. For Ji Jun to attack Long Outyin at this time, he must have been out of his mind. I think we should deal with this matter according to the rules. Cripple Ji Jun's cultivation and expel him. Lu Shuling said indifferently. However, her words caused everyone's expression to change. This woman was truly ruthless. If she crippled Ji Jun's cultivation, he would suffer a fate worse than death. Long Outyin, how do you want to deal with this? Tong Yuan glanced at Ling Xiao and asked slowly. Although Ling Xiao wanted nothing more than to kill Ji Jun right now, he knew that the academy tournament wasn't the time to do so. Thus he sneered and said, I'll leave everything to the dean. I just want justice. All right. Dean Ji, if you want to resolve this matter, then agree to one of my conditions. Tong Yuan glanced at Ji Guyuan indifferently. Ji Guyuan frowned, but he still nodded and said, Speak. Hand over a Zhou Tian Nirvana pill, and we won't pursue this matter with Ji Jun otherwise. We won't rest until you die. Tong Yuan said resolutely. A Zhou Tian Nirvana pill. Don't even think about it. You're asking for too much. The dean can't agree to it. Ji Jun's expression changed as he roared. Overlord Jianchen and Lu Shuling's eyes flashed. They were slightly surprised. They hadn't expected Tong Yuan to propose such a condition. Chapter 1491. One had to know that there was a huge difference between a divine king and a true sage. There was also the half-step sage realm, known as the 9 transformations sage. Every 9 transformations half-step sage was a nirvana rebirth. The laws of heaven and earth would completely shatter one's physical body, small world, godhead, and primordial spirit before reforming them. After 9 nirvanas, one's entire body would become flawless, and only then could one attain the sage realm. The Zhou Tian Nirvana pill was equivalent to being able to experience half a lifetime's nirvana in advance. It was incomparably precious and had a miraculous effect on breaking through to the half-step sage realm. However, the Zhou Tian Nirvana pill required various precious divine medicines, and it was considered precious even in the Imperial 9 Imperial Gates. However, Tong Yuan knew that Ji Jun had 2, and the reason Ji Yuanlong had been able to break through to the Divine King realm so quickly was because of the Zhou Tian Nirvana pill's power. Ji Guyuan's expression was ugly as he stared at Tong Yuan. Dean Tong's request is really not polite at all. The Zhou Tian Nirvana pill is our Great Zhou Academy's most precious treasure. Why don't you change your request? We can compensate Long Outyin with 100 drops of sacred liquid. 100 drops of sacred liquid? Are you trying to dismiss a beggar? Besides, the Zhou Tian Nirvana pill is precious, but compared to Ji Jun's life, isn't it much cheaper? Cut the crap and hand over the Zhou Tian Nirvana pill. Han Li sneered, not giving Ji Guyuan any face at all. Tong Yuan also glanced at Shi Tianfang. Dean Shi, my request is the Zhou Tian Nirvana pill. Otherwise, please punish Ji Jun according to the rules of the Academy tournament. Ji Guyuan and Ji Jun's expressions changed. Although the 8 great academies each had their own despicable ways, no one dared to openly defy the rules of the Academy tournament. If Tong Yuan really wanted to pursue this matter, Shi Tianfang, Sima Bo, and Zhuge Ming would probably be more than happy to cripple Ji Jun. After all, the Great Zhou Academy and Ares Academy were both enemies to them. Dean Ji, what's your choice? Shi Tianfang smiled faintly as a strange look flashed across his eyes. Ji Jun's matter had to be dealt with. This was not only the rules of the Academy tournament, but also the reputation of the 8 great academies. If they just let it go, they would be laughed at. Don't you see all the disciples of the various academies watching? Ji Guyuan and Ji Jun's expressions were very ugly, but they were unable to back down now. Ji Guyuan took a deep breath and looked deeply at Tong Yuan. All right. 1 Zhou Tian Nirvana pill, I agree. Headmaster. Ji Jun was a little anxious. Don't say any more. It's just a Zhou Tian Nirvana pill. Do you really want to lose your life here? Ji Guyuan looked sternly at Ji Jun. In the end, although Ji Jun was extremely unwilling, he still gave the Zhou Tian Nirvana pill to Tong Yuan. Long Outyin, take this Zhou Tian Nirvana elixir. I hope you can break through to the Divine King realm as soon as possible. Tong Yuan passed the elixir to Ling Xiao. Thank you, Dean. Ling Xiao smiled faintly. Under the furious gazes of Ji Jun and Ji Yuanlong, he kept the Zhou Tian Nirvana pill. Ling Xiao naturally knew how precious the Zhou Tian Nirvana pill was. Although he did not plan to use the Zhou Tian Nirvana pill to break through to the Divine King realm, it was still very useful for his physical body. The tournament will now continue. The next group of challengers, Luo Gang from the Vajra Academy versus Guan Chen from the Heavenly Curse Academy. Shi Tianfang announced the second group of challengers. Whoosh! Whoosh! The arrogant youth in green robes, Guan Chen, jumped onto the stage. Opposite him was a burly man who looked very simple and honest. He was also in the early Divine King realm. I'm Luo Gang from the Vajra Academy. Junior brother Guan, please enlighten me. Luo Gang cupped his hands and bowed to Guan Chen. Who's your junior brother? How dare a piece of trash like you call yourself my junior brother? Guan Chen sneered with an incomparably arrogant expression. Anger flashed across Luo Gang's face. This Guan Chen was really arrogant. However, he did not say anything. Instead, he took a deep breath. Blood qi surged around his body. His physical body was extremely tough. He was a physique refiner. Rumble. The battle between the two of them broke out in an instant. Luo Gang cultivated the golden light palm of the Vajra Academy. His physical body was unparalleled, and his attacks were extremely ferocious. He was considered an expert even in the early Divine King realm. Unfortunately, Guan Chen was stronger. The Great Destruction Curse could destroy everything. Moreover, Guan Chen's attacks were extremely ruthless. After a few dozen moves, he summoned the Great Millstone of the Heavens and crushed both of Luo Gang's arms. I admit defeat. Luo Gang's face was filled with incomparable pain as he yelled out loud. Boom. However, Guan Chen acted as if he did not hear him. The Great Millstone of the Heavens came crashing down again, turning both of Luo Gang's legs into a bloody mist. Bastard! This Guan Chen is too arrogant. His opponent has already admitted defeat, and he still dares to attack? Yi Liangchen was enraged. He had long disliked Guan Chen. Previously, when they met outside the Spatio-Temporal Academy, this bastard was the one who mocked him. The people from the Heavenly Curse Academy are despicable and shameless. Leave this Guan Chen to me. Tian Gang's eyes flashed with coldness as he said coldly. The Pangu clan and the Heavenly Curse Academy had a blood feud. Tiangang naturally did not like the people from the Heavenly Curse Academy. I'm sorry. I didn't hold back, Guanchen said indifferently. However, there was no sincerity on his face. He turned around and left the arena. Guanchen wins. With the announcement of the elder, the result of the battle was confirmed. Guanchen had gained 1 point. However, all the disciples looked at Guanchen with anger in their eyes. He could have easily defeated Luogang. However, his attacks were extremely ruthless. This had infuriated the disciples. The next battle was between Wang Lin from the Ares Academy and Jin Gang from the Overlord Academy. Although Wang Lin was strong, she was only in the great circle of the heavenly god realm. On the other hand, Jin Gang's physical body was unparalleled. He had already cultivated the adamantine battle body to the great circle. Hence he defeated Wang Lin quickly. However, Wang Lin's attitude was very good. She was not discouraged. Instead, she treated this as an opportunity to train and learn from each other. Ling Xiao also guessed that Wang Lin would not be able to enter the top 10. Following that, the battles began one after another. The 20 geniuses of the third round took turns to fight. They exchanged blows continuously with each other. The battles were extremely intense. Tiangang attacked and defeated a young man named Peng Quan. Under Tiangang's terrifying physical strength, Peng Quan only took 3 punches before he admitted defeat with a bitter smile. Xian Wang and Bai Xiao from the Imperial Academy started a great battle. Xian Wang was unparalleled in her generation while Bai Xiao was also extraordinary. The battle between the two goddesses attracted the attention of the crowd. Bai Xiao's sword cultivation was extraordinary. Xian Wang was only in the great circle of the heavenly god realm. However, Xian Wang had comprehended the sword of Saint Dao. Hence, after an intense battle, Bai Xiao was defeated by Xian Wang. Next battle, Yi Liangchen from the Ares Academy versus Jin Xianzong from the Five Elements Academy. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.